No, no, no. I don't know. I don't want to put the whole thing on. I should have. Okay, I can see behind the scenes, a little behind the scenes. But
Yeah,
yeah, exactly.
I always see the warm ups. I do the warm ups
Yeah,
where I try to get it rolling
exactly.
beforehand, so I'm a little warmed up
Yeah,
going
just
in.
right
But
in there.
you just like to raw dog it, man. I get
No worries. Just right in there. All authentic. But
it.
all right, guys, this is episode
Yeah.
4 of the podcast, and tonight we got my boy Steve. And Steve, you want to introduce yourself and just a little background about yourself before we get into it?
Yeah, what's going on, guys? My name's Steve Sooby. I know Ryan from Iron Revolution a couple years back. Well, what was it, a year ago? I guess not that long ago. I live down in Miami now, so I'm no longer in Jersey, but knew him from the gym. Also, fellow bodybuilder. Well, I do men's physique, so I don't know if Ryan really counts that as bodybuilding, but
Yeah.
it's still something in the competition world. So I like to think our visions are aligned in some capacity. But yeah.
That was.
Yeah,
I just have one question. So
where do you
when
want
did
me
you
to
move to
kick it
Florida?
off?
That's so sick. 'Cause it's how long did you live in? Did you live in Jersey your whole life? Is this like the first time you're moving out of Jersey?
Yeah, dude. So it's kind of funny, man. I feel like
I feel like nobody would know. Like I feel like you just one day popped up in Florida.
Everybody that I know, dude. One day I was at the gym, and the next day I wasn't, and then it was just that was it. I know. I kind of feel bad. It was very, very. It was put together very quickly. I think honestly, I put the whole move together in like 2 weeks.
To Florida. It's like I'd make it happen in 2 weeks too if I could live in Florida.
Yeah. So my lease was up actually at the end of that month anyway. And then I had an opportunity with work. I work in commercial real estate, or I did work in commercial real estate for a minute, or for a couple of years. I don't know why I said a minute. I just got a text message and distracted the hell out of me. Hold on. Oh my God. It's like ringing in my ears. It's so bad.
Yeah.
Right, I gotta put it on do not disturb. Sorry. This is killing me right now. Okay, we're good. I forgot that part. But yeah, had sort of I had an opportunity that just came up really quick, and I was in a position in Jersey. So yeah, I grew up in Jersey, grew up in South Brunswick. I usually just say Princeton because I don't like giving too much detail about where I'm from, but whatever. I'm not that famous. I don't give a shit. But yeah, I grew up in South Brunswick. Was there my whole life. I lived in Philly for a little bit actually because I went to school there, and then I lived in Philly after college, and then worked in New York. Was still in Philly for business, for just random things. Was back and forth a lot. So yeah, I ended up having an opportunity that presented itself to move to Miami for the work that I was doing at that time. And I had my one boy who was like, we had been talking about it actually for like a year at least. And I was like, we got to figure out a way to make this happen. I was like, I'm living in the suburbs of New Jersey. There's nothing going on here, man. Yeah. Aside from, there's literally the only thing to do is to go to the gym. That's the only thing there is to do. And I'm like, what are we doing? And then that opportunity came up, and it's like, one of your ride or dies, man. I hit him up. I'm like, hey, we got to go. Like, I'm getting the call. We got to go. And he's like, all right, let's do it. So we just said, screw it. What? Yeah, he came with me. He doesn't live with me now, but in the beginning we were living together just to kind of, because I didn't know what the hell was going on. I made a move in 2 weeks. I was like, I gotta figure this out. So me and him were kind of in it together in the beginning. But yeah, just put it together, and then just pretty much was like, yeah, let's get the hell out of here. Yeah. The way I looked at it, I was 28. I mean, I'm 29 now, but I was 28.
Really? That's sick, dude.
I got nothing. Nothing holding me back here.
Literally, that's what people dream about.
Like, why not?
And then it's funny like said, because like certain people have these goals, like, oh, I move to Florida, but then it's like, you get so tied up in life, where it's like, you get an apartment up here, then it's like, oh well, I got my job. Like, you get comfortable and you get complacent. So that's so sick that you made that actual fucking transition, because most people just stay in their comfort zone. It's like, oh well, I'm used to my job. I'm used to my house. It's 20 minutes to work. I know the schedule. So it's crazy that you made the jump.
Yeah. So, dude, I mean, that is the opposite of what I am. Like, I am Mr. Anti-comfortable. I put myself in stressful situations on purpose, literally, because I can't. If I'm not bombarded with stuff, like if I'm not scheduled out, I got stuff in my head, I'll sit here and I'll lose my mind. You know what I mean? So for me, that's good. And honestly, like throwing a move
Yeah.
together like that in 2 weeks
Yeah.
was like, let's get it done, like no big deal, Packed my car, I got rid of all my furniture. I
That's
literally
crazy.
drove down here just with
That's
whatever clothes I had
awesome.
and just
Yeah.
moved in.
Yeah.
Like that was it. I
Yeah.
was like, I'll buy more furniture down
Yeah.
here. I don't care about shipping the crap I had up in New Jersey, Who cares? It's cheap shit anyway.
That's crazy. Was
So
it
yeah,
for the
that was
same? Is
kind
it?
of
Or
kind of
do you
how that
still do
happened.
commercial real
But
estate now or not? Yeah.
so I still have my hand in it because I've been in it for the last couple of years. And the way that business works is that typically it's kind of the turnaround
Mhm.
on the actual work you put in.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like I might not get paid on something until like a year later. So like a guy I might have talked to, 2-3 years ago is
Yeah.
now coming to me about some development project that he's doing. So I still have my hand in it. I'm
So
not
like you didn't move down
actively
to Miami. Like
actually
now in
like
Miami, you're not
searching for new
actively trying to like
business.
get you rolling down there and that.
No,
Yeah.
I mean when I first moved down, that's what I was doing. I had the opportunity with the company I
Yeah.
was working with to do development down here, and I was mostly
Yeah.
primarily working in South Jersey and Philadelphia at the time. And the submarket of Philly,
Yeah.
I mean, there's submarkets all over the country, but Philly's one of those
Yeah.
submarkets that when the rest of the country gets hit, Philly's like on the
Yeah.
bottom.
Yeah.
Like there's nothing moving. You know what I mean? Like Philly's not, but it's not
Yeah.
that. It's first of all, it's not developer friendly, and it's
Yeah.
also not really that lucrative to do development in Philly anymore. But obviously, Miami's one of those submarkets that's sort of. I'm
Yeah.
not going to say it's untouched by the rest of the market, but it's acts much more independently of the rest of the
Yeah.
country. So obviously, there's still a ton of development stuff going on down here. But I ended up, like I said,
Yeah.
I'm not actively really searching for new clients down here. My dad actually ended up going into business for himself, and now I'm actually helping my dad with his business,
Yep.
helping him to grow down here. So that actually kind of took over more of
What business? What does he do? What does he do in that?
my
What is
day
his
to
line of work
day
now that you do?
because
Like, what
I
do you
think
help him with now?
so. We run a full service commodities brokerage.
Yeah.
So my dad's been in the energy business for like 30 plus years.
Mhm.
So he pretty much knows everybody and anything. He built out the entire
Oh
power
yeah. Yeah.
natural gas book at
Yeah.
Hess back in the day. Remember the Hess truck commercials? Yeah. So there's a big Hess building up in Woodbridge, New Jersey. My
Oh
dad
shit.
oversaw like the entire
Yeah.
Northeast region. He ran like Ohio, PA, New Jersey, uh, parts of New York, Maryland. Like he just was like an animal with this stuff. So it's funny because even coming down here, you don't
Yeah.
realize sort of
That's,
who your
yeah.
dad
It's
is
great. Yeah.
until
Now
you
that you're in his
actually
line of work.
get
Yeah.
involved in his industry.
At home, just your dad.
Yeah, because I had the same name. Yeah, I had the same name as my dad. So
Yeah.
people when I first
Mhm.
started when I started getting involved with him over the summer,
Yeah.
I'm making calls down here in Florida, and like people
Yeah.
in
That's
the
crazy.
South and Midwest markets know who my dad is, and I'm like,
Yeah.
what the hell is going on? Like,
Yeah.
how does his name like? They think I'm him calling. They're like, Steve Sooby, like, why are you calling me? Like, what's
Yeah.
going on? I was like, different Steve here. But yeah, so he went into business for himself. He oversees most of the Northeast book of business that we have now. So he's
Yeah.
primarily New Jersey's his bread and butter, or our bread and butter, I should say, and Eastern Pennsylvania. I'm actually going to start taking over the
Mhm.
Pennsylvania market because I know Pennsylvania.
Yeah.
Like I said, I live there. I mean, he's from
Yeah.
Pennsylvania. He's from Northeast
Mhm.
PA or Northeast Philly. So he's I
Yeah.
think not I know you guys are somewhere over there, but he kind of just going to give me PA. I know PA really well, and I know the
Yeah.
developers there. I kind of have like a network in PA already, so he's just going to give me that. But I've been primarily focused on building the book out here in Southeast Florida
Yeah.
because we realize that there's actually kind of a huge demand for what we do here. So this is my primary focus, but then obviously he's going to be giving me PA, and I'm going to be we're
Yeah.
going to be running that together because
Yeah.
obviously I can't be boots on the ground over there if I got to go meet with clients in PA, but
Right.
I'm going to be the one kind of initiating, making calls, kind of reaching out to people.
That's
So
pretty sick. That's pretty
that's
cool.
kind of what we do. But
So this opportunity
yeah,
only came about because your dad started his own company, then, right? This isn't. Yeah.
yeah, pretty
Yeah. I'm
much. I
saying
mean,
this isn't
otherwise
something that
I
interests
would
you.
have
Like,
still been
yeah.
doing real estate. I would have
You said
still
you
been
went to
doing
college.
real estate. Yeah,
What? No, I was
yeah,
going to say a
and the
different
way
question. Go ahead.
what
I was going to say, what did you go to college
you were
for?
saying? Did I go to college? Yeah. I
Okay.
went to college for
Oh, you went to
economics.
Temple. Okay.
I was in business school. I went to Temple. Um, yeah. So that's why I worked. I worked in finance, like kind of finance. It was
Mhm.
reinsurance. I did that in New York at the beginning, and then I left finance and kind of switched into real estate
Oh shit.
because I
Okay.
had an underwriting background in finance, which kind of
Yeah.
helped me go into underwriting and real estate, and that's kind of how I jumped into
Yeah.
commercial real estate.
Yeah.
I don't know. It was kind of weird how the whole thing played out. I don't know how I ended up in the situation that I did, but
Yeah.
I tell people that all the time. I somehow just one day was like, I was just in commercial real estate. I'm like, okay. But and also real estate was obviously of interest to me.
Mhm.
I started doing some of like my own little development projects.
Okay.
I have like a couple
Yeah.
properties out in West Philly and like some bullshit, but just because it's easy. But I shouldn't say it's easy, but it was. I learned some valuable lessons doing that stuff. But
Oh my god. Yeah.
but
Clearly.
yeah,
Yeah.
especially being out in West Philly, man. But yeah, I mean, real estate at the
Yeah.
time interested me a lot more than what I was doing in finance. So that's kind of where I made the jump. But yeah, now my dad's business really interests me a lot more, especially since real estate has
Mhm.
slowed down. Real estate, I always think, will be a part of my life. But real estate's one of those things where,
Yeah.
I believe in building businesses. I believe in actually, like building,
Yeah. Yeah.
you know, especially if you have your family involved, right?
Yeah.
Like that's going to be your bread and butter. That's going to be your moneymaker. I mean,
Yeah.
every business owner
Yeah.
though
It's such a
still
great.
owns
Yeah.
real
That's
estate.
really
So real
such a
estate
great
will
thing to have
always
in
be a
common.
part of
Yeah.
my life. Yeah,
Yeah. Exactly. Yeah.
you got to
Yeah.
park the money somewhere if you're making good money from your
Yeah.
business, right?
Literally.
So,
Yeah.
like, you got to know real estate as well. So, I'm happy I have the background in real estate, but now
That's
it's
so
I
cool.
really
Yeah.
want to build
So your
this
dad. So
company with
like
my
when you were
dad.
growing
So,
up, your dad. Are you? How many? Do you have
yeah,
any brothers and sisters or no?
yeah,
Okay.
I got a younger brother. He's 24.
Okay.
We're starting him off a little bit too, but just very
Yeah.
like
What did he go to
kind
college
of
and stuff like that too, or
administrative
no?
stuff. Yeah, he went to Rutgers. Um,
Okay.
he also did econ, but I mean, he did. I did.
Oh, okay.
I
Yeah.
did.
Yeah.
He did like the liberal arts econ version.
Yeah.
So I'm not.
Yeah.
I did the
Yeah.
real
Exactly.
the math science econ. No, I'm kidding.
Yeah.
I always give
What
him
did
shit
that?
for
Did
it. I just gotta bust his balls.
did he want to do that because you like he both had an interest in the same thing in college, or you think he like followed in your footsteps because that's what you went for college for, or no?
I think it was a little mix of both. I mean, he's not. It's one of those things where,
Yeah.
I'll
Yeah.
be honest with you, man, nobody gives a shit what you go to college for, right? I mean, college, in my opinion, is.
Yeah.
I probably shouldn't say this on
Yeah.
here. I don't know where this is
Yeah.
going, but I don't care. I mean,
Yeah.
I'll say anything, right? I'll say how
Yeah.
I
Oh yeah.
feel, but I mean, college total waste, dude, total waste. I mean, I didn't. There is not one thing
Yeah.
I took from
Yeah.
college
I
that I
believe.
would
Oh, I
say
believe
made
you.
it worthwhile. I'm not even kidding, man. It was a
Yeah.
total.
Literally.
If
Yeah.
anything, it
Exactly.
pisses me off even more
Yeah.
because that's
Yeah.
5 years of my
Yeah.
life or four
Exactly.
years
Yeah.
of my life that I wasn't making money. Like I'm
Mhm.
working some bullshit
Yeah.
minimum wage
Exactly.
job because I'm trying to
Yeah.
go to classes. Like what a waste. I
Yeah.
could have saved like
Exactly.
a lot of money in that
Yeah.
amount of time. It should have helped me out a
Exactly.
lot more. And half the shit I'm doing
So
now, I
crazy.
don't even need a college degree
That,
for. So I'm
that
like,
literally
this
would
is
drive me
stupid.
nuts.
Yeah, especially real estate. Yeah. Oh my god, it's so dumb. I hated it.
Yeah.
I actually didn't want to go to college. My dad kind of made me like, he did all my college applications. I was like, I don't want to do this shit. And I was never a bad student. I was always like,
Yeah.
I was always a good student. But I just stopped giving a shit. I
Yeah.
realized, end of high school, I realized
Yeah.
in high school that it was just bull crap. Like none of it was really important.
Okay.
But my dad went to
Yeah.
Temple as well, so that's
You're
why
going.
he's like, I don't care. He's
Yeah.
like, you're going. I didn't really have a choice. Yeah, I tried to take a year off. I like
Yeah.
just literally, dude. I just wanted to be.
Yeah.
I just had started getting into the gym.
Yeah.
I was getting my NASM
Yeah.
certification at the
Yeah.
time. I just wanted to be a trainer at the gym. That was all I wanted to do. I was
Yeah.
ready to graduate high school. I was so happy I was done with that.
Yeah.
And I'm like,
That's it.
I'm cool
Yeah.
being a trainer. Like
Yeah.
that's
Literally.
all I care about right now. I just want to be in the gym. And
Yeah.
obviously college put all that
Yeah.
stuff on hold, which, I was kind of mad about too. But I don't know. You can't some things you can't control,
Yeah.
especially when you're young
Yeah. You
and
got to just.
you live with your parents,
Yeah.
it's like
Exactly. Yeah.
everybody's different. Everybody comes from a different story, right? My
Oh, really?
parents were super on my ass,
Like
super
strict in what
strict.
regards?
Oh
Like
yeah,
you have
oh
to
my
get good,
god,
like
dude.
curfew,
My
good
mom.
grades, or kind of like what, like no drinking. Okay.
Oh, all of it. All of
Really?
it, dude. I don't think I touched alcohol till I
What?
went to
What?
college.
What? What
I didn't do anything when I went to college. I was like a virgin rolling into college, man. I didn't do anything. I didn't hang out with anyone in high school. Like it was just kind of one of those things. It was just like
Oh,
I just
really?
knew
So it
not to
was. Oh,
ask
you
because
knew
I
not
just
to ask
knew it
because you knew it
also
wasn't an
like
option. It
wasn't going to
wasn't like
happen.
you weren't doing like Saturday night sleeping at your boy's house and like you guys were out drinking instead, nothing like that. Yeah,
Oh, I mean, I tried. Don't get
yeah.
me wrong, but that was not okay in my household. Sleepovers were
Mhm.
not a thing. If I wasn't in by a certain time, it was a problem. If I even sipped alcohol, I know damn well my
Is that
parents
something?
would smell it from a mile
What?
away.
I
So
would
yeah,
say, is
my
that something
mom's
like you
like,
look back at on like
sorry, go
are
ahead. What
grateful
were you
because
gonna say?
that like shaped? Obviously, no one has regrets. Obviously, no one. You're not going to say that you regret it or anything like that. But I'm saying like, are you like grateful like that your parents were strict? Is that kind of like maybe now you look back like that might have taught you structure or like responsibility at a younger age or not really?
Oh, 150%, man. Listen, I gotta give my mom credit, honestly, because
Mhm.
at first it kind of did bother me because I felt like I
Yeah,
was so kind
yeah,
of behind the eight ball with everybody
mhm.
else, right? Everybody was like so much more
Yeah,
advanced than me
yeah, yeah,
socially. Like I wasn't a retard. Like I still knew how to
yeah.
talk to people, right? Like I was pretty outgoing still, but in terms of all that other stuff,
I can see
right?
being a
Like
young immature kid.
you
You
know,
think it's like, damn, like I'm
um,
like you
yeah,
feel behind, like you said, but it's like,
Well, the thing is that it never really
okay,
was an interest of mine to begin with because I was
mhm.
always so busy with
Like
stuff.
what
I
type of
mean,
like in high
like
school? Like what were
I
you in?
was
Like were you in
always,
like sports or like
either.
academic shit? Like what were you busy with? Like
I mean, I did everything. I was in sports. I wasn't great at sports, but I was big into, dude.
yeah,
I was like in robotics club. I was big into engineering.
okay,
I thought I was going to school originally for engineering.
mhm,
I was always building shit, working on cars, like doing something. That stuff
yeah,
just. And I eventually want to get back to that at
mhm.
some point, but that stuff always kept my mind busy.
Yeah,
And
yeah,
I,
it's yeah,
dude, I
great.
like
It's
played
great.
piano since I was like 4, and I did that all through like high school, college. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Like my mom had me
mhm,
very, very disciplined, so I was always
yeah,
busy. I never had the kind of the thought of doing that stuff. And I noticed the kids that always were
yeah.
doing that stuff, that were drinking, having sex early on in high school. Like, I
Oh,
mean,
it's
dude, kids today,
crazy.
I don't know, kids are having sex
Yeah,
in middle school, man. I think that's way too young, honestly, way too young. And
100%. Yeah,
honestly, it's because they didn't have
yeah,
enough going on. I felt like they weren't being
yeah,
developed. They
exactly.
weren't being developed as like a child,
Oh my god.
right? To have the discipline, to do the things that you're supposed to do. And my biggest issue with that, and the reason to get back to what you asked me before about whether I regret it or not with my mom, was I feel like I as a man feel like I really didn't come into who I am, not even until like
Mhm. Yeah,
dude, I had to go through college, you know what I mean? And like really still
yeah,
learn a couple hard lessons, you know, about people before like it wasn't until probably I was like going into like my mid 20s, like maybe 24,
yeah,
25, things started to like kind of solidify more in my brain. I started to become really, really kind of like firm in my stance on certain
yeah,
things. And like I started to see the world a lot more clearly. And looking back on like the way my
yeah,
mom was with me, or even, I mean, my dad was also strict
yeah,
too, but my mom, she was like old school
yeah,
Italian, like very, it's like my son's not doing any of this stupid shit. I think the biggest issue, I thank her for it because looking back at it,
definitely.
you're too much of a child at that point in your life to make
Yes,
decisions, like life long decisions and
literally. Yeah.
mistakes and things that have real
Oh yeah.
consequences that are going to stay with you the rest of your life, right? We're talking
Mhm.
about drugs,
Yeah.
talking about
I know
sex,
girls
right?
16 that were having kids at
You got
16 in high school.
pregnancy,
So it's
you
like
got
that's what
whatever. I mean,
the
even
dudes were like 16, 17. It's like that's forever. It's like,
right,
yeah, yeah, yeah,
right.
exactly.
And I
Yeah,
mean, at least they had the kid. I'm
yeah,
not going to go down that road, but those are all things that I think
mhm,
people, once they get to a certain point in their life,
yeah,
they start to
exactly.
internalize
Yeah,
all these things that they
yeah,
weren't consciously thinking of that they were doing when they
yeah,
were young. And it starts to like, they
yeah, literally.
change. It
Yeah,
almost
exactly.
like, it kind of like erodes them from the inside out, right?
Yeah,
Because those are things that you do when you're young and you can't ever take it back. And a lot of people, it's so crazy because
mhm,
especially like, with girls or whoever, like when I'm talking to people, the one thing
literally. Yeah.
they wish
Isn't
was
that so
that their
funny?
parents
It's so funny.
were more
It's
strict
funny
on
because
them.
I feel like parents even say that when you're a kid. They're
Yeah,
like, "You're
it's
gonna
so
thank me for
funny.
this later." You're like, "Yeah, get the fuck out of here." And then it's like, "Damn, you're right." Yeah. It's like
Yeah,
you're absolutely right. But it's like it's funny because
yeah,
it doesn't even have to be stuff as dramatic as
yeah.
like pregnancy and stuff like that. Just like little habits that like you don't like bad habits you would have picked up because you had the more freedom. So like you pick up bad habits that like it's harder to kick when you're an adult or shit like that. Like just tendencies you see that like maybe that wouldn't have been there if you had a little bit more curbed in again when you were younger.
Right.
So it is pretty.
Right.
It is,
Yeah. Yeah. Exactly. Yeah. I'm
yeah,
mad. I'm mad. I even
it's
smoked
so
weed
funny.
in college. Like, like I feel like that might have messed up
Exactly.
my brain a little bit. How do I not know?
It's funny
It's
because
like,
my
why did I
parents
even
weren't
do
really.
that? It's
I mean,
stupid.
'cause my parents weren't really strict, but like I never just because like my own personal reasons, I just never like I never really had like an urgency to like drink or smoke or anything like that. But it's like I know a lot of people obviously that did young, and it's like they're still fucking 30 years old now, and then drink. They drank in high school every day. Now they're still 15 years later still drinking every day, and it's just like
Yeah,
yeah,
and listen, man, I got theories on all that too because I know guys that you know
yeah,
were drinking hard as hell through high school and doing all types of
yeah,
crazy shit. By the time they got to
yeah,
college, they didn't give a shit. They had their act cleaned up, they did
mhm,
whatever, and they're like, I got it out of my system, kind of thing. I think that's rare because a lot of those guys typically kind
yeah,
of get out
mhm,
unscathed
yeah,
in a way, right?
yeah,
Because
oh yeah,
there's a lot of room for error, especially when
oh
you're
yeah,
young. I feel like so it only takes something small to kind of like change your whole life. So a lot of those guys, I think, just got really lucky. But also, I think a lot of it too is, sometimes, man, I really think I don't know if this is true or not because I don't know everything, but
yeah, literally.
you
I
know,
love that
it's like
conversation.
nature versus nurture, right? I mean, like
Mhm,
who the person is,
yeah,
like
yeah,
I
literally,
believe
yeah,
it's like, it's like God
mhm,
knows you before you are who you are, right? Like
yeah,
predetermination in my mind is real. Like you are who you are. And no matter sort of what your circumstances are,
mhm,
I'm sure that they affect who you become to some degree, but I think you
yeah,
always will
exactly. Yeah,
be you always
I
will become
wholeheartedly
like
believe
who
that
you're
too.
meant to become.
It is funny to think like how that like you can look back and see that kind of stuff. It's funny like how like some people like they say like there's studies about like the nature versus nurture where like they had like twin brothers separated at birth, raised completely different, and then they end up the same type of deal because it's just like
Yeah, yeah,
hardwired
yeah.
in their body. Like that's just what it is. It's so crazy to think like, and then that makes you think like how much shit you're doing, like
Yeah. Yeah.
how much of how you behave is like subconsciously just hardwired into your body. Like you think you behave this way because it's how you like you have the free will to behave any way you want. But then it's like, damn, like how much of the shit is actually just like nurtured that it's just, or like nature that it's just like makes you confident like everything you do. Because then it's like, am
Dude,
I doing this subconsciously because when I was 7 years old, I
yeah.
seen my uncle do it, and now that's what like stuck with me. It's so crazy to think like you can go down forever and like think about that shit. It's like
Yeah. Or was it
exactly,
because
yeah,
your uncle was doing it also when he was 7 years old? Is it
exactly,
the genetic line, right?
yeah,
Like, who knows? I don't know what's in my genes, Like, you can go
exactly,
back a couple hundred years. I don't know I could have met
yeah,
somebody who's the same exact person as me, same antics, same
exactly.
everything, same outlook.
That's
I
what's
mean, you
crazy
don't
why I
know.
love
You
that
just really
expression because
don't
they're
know.
like, how do you?
Yeah,
I
it's
think
funny.
it's like a philosopher named like Charles Bukowski or something like that. He's like, how could you say you love somebody when there's 10,000 people in this world you've never even met before? So it is crazy thing because then it's like, damn, that is crazy. It's like the nurture versus nature thing. It's like,
Right.
damn, was this like destiny for you to fall in love with this girl? Because there's fucking 5 million people you never even met before, and like this girl, like you meet her, and it's like, damn, like, well, I mean, I guess you think you love her or whatever, but it is crazy thing. Like, damn, like you say like, oh, it's funny to think like, damn, that
Yeah.
makes you question when people say like, oh, this is like my soulmate or this is my person. It's like, damn, like there's 10 million people you never even met before. Like, how do you even know that's true? Because it's like she might be like 5,000 down on the list if you met all the people. It's crazy.
Yeah, man.
Yeah,
Yeah, listen, that's
yeah,
a whole nother conversation, man. The women thing is I don't even think I think
yeah,
men are kind of sold the idea of love,
yeah.
man, because I mean we
Mhm.
do love. Like I think men are very capable,
Yeah. Do you
like
think
I'm
you've
gonna
ever
take a
been in love
bullet for
before?
this girl, you know what I mean? Like or this, my son or my kids.
Which,
Yeah, definitely, definitely, man. Yeah.
I
But
was just
it's
curious.
like
Like, what was say, like,
why?
what
Where are
would
you gonna
you,
go with it?
since you've
What are
been
you
in
gonna
love before,
say?
like, do you, obviously, if you guys aren't together anymore like that, like, even like, do you still consider that like, it was a good situation? Like, would you trade it? Like, because it said like it's better to love and lost than never love at all. So, like, do you agree with that? Like, that it was like, or like the heartbreak was outweighed it, or like, how do you like,
Yeah, so this might be more of a Twitter conversation, so I won't go too hard on it, but but I
mm,
think there's a certain nature of women,
yeah,
right, that men need to understand. Especially I think that's
yeah,
part of growing up as a man and becoming a man and understanding, that's,
yeah,
you know,
yeah,
it's a big issue, right? It's a big part of your life, number one. Um, for me,
mm,
so because I was raised the way I was raised, some men just out of the gate, they
Yeah.
just get it, right? We all know that guy just
Mm.
knows the way women operate, knows how they
Yeah.
work, knows sort of like their intentions and kind of how they process information and
Yeah.
just sort of how to play the game in a sense. For me, I mean,
Yeah.
I wasn't like that. I didn't have that knowledge coming out of
Mm.
the gate. I needed to learn it the hard way. So for that reason, yeah,
Yeah.
it's not
Yeah.
that like I'm happy I went through it, but I needed to go through it. I needed that
Yeah.
heartbreak. I needed to sort of learn my lessons, or for what
Yeah.
my one friend used to tell me, you to take your whippings,
Yeah.
right? So like I'll take my whippings. It is what it is. But I wouldn't have learned it any other way. And that's also just sort of who I am as a
Yeah.
person. I mean, I'll go head first into
Yeah.
something if I don't know anything about
Hope for
it.
the best. Yeah. Yeah.
It's gonna get fucked up, probably.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like,
Oh, yeah.
it's gonna get messed up a little bit. Sorry, I don't mean to curse because I know we're on YouTube. I shouldn't do that. But you know, I
Yeah.
extract
Yeah.
almost everything out of it by the time I'm done, right? Like, so that's just kind of how I am as a person. It's how I operate. But yeah, so I guess
What are some, like, so
I
out of that,
needed to
based
go
off that,
through
like,
it to
when you
answer your
said, like,
question.
you learned a lot of lessons, what are some of the takeaways you took away, like, for your own personal stuff? Like, what are some, like, attributes that are like, okay, these are 100% no-goes. I know this for myself in relationships. This is not something I can deal with in relationships, or like some things that you need. Like, I need a girlfriend that it has to be A1 on communication, or has to be this, that, and the third, because I know from my past that I need that in a relationship. Like, what are some of the things you picked up from, not just to be like super deep or anything like that, just like some of the things you learned about yourself a little bit.
Yeah. So I think the main takeaway from that, and this is the way I look at marriage now, and I don't look at it in terms of
Yeah.
how much I love a girl, how much I care about a girl. You know, listen, I generally
Yeah.
like, do very well in relationships because
Yeah.
I know how to, I know
Mhm.
how to have a good time. I know how to be a good time, right? Like I know how
Yeah.
to, you know, converse
Yeah.
and talk to people,
Yeah.
like I'm just fun to be around sometimes. All right. But that's not the issue, right? Who you connect with, I think, like, like a girl that you might connect with really well, you might have really good, kind of,
Yeah, I know the
what do you
terms you
call
mean.
that?
I
I
know
don't
what you
like any of
mean.
those
But
terms, like,
yeah, the
energy,
cliches.
whatever. Yeah. Like, just because you have that with somebody doesn't
Yeah.
necessarily, in my mind, mean that I got to marry
Mhm.
that girl. When I'm looking at a wife, when I'm looking at a
Yeah.
girl who I'm like, as a potential woman that I'm going to marry for
Mhm.
the rest of my life, somebody I'm going to take really, really seriously, I'm looking at it from the lens of, okay,
Yeah.
is she going to be the mother I want for my kids? Right? Like, who do I want my sons to be? Who do I want my
Yeah.
daughters to be? That's more of what I'm thinking of. I'm looking at who she
Mhm.
is, how she grew up, where her
Yeah.
morals stand, right? That for me is the big one. And everything
Yeah.
else typically falls in line from that point on. But that's really the only lens I look at it
Mhm.
through at this point for any girl that I would be serious to marry, is that she has to
Yeah.
be a good fit for my kids. And I'm one of the type of people that
Yeah.
I could get along with almost everybody, honestly. So like,
Yeah.
it's not really a matter of, oh, she has to have this personality type or
You
this
can. Yeah.
personality type.
Yeah. Yeah.
I've had them all at this point. You know what I mean? All that matters to me is
Yeah.
that, are you going to be the mother of my children? That's
Mhm.
really for me what I think is important. I think a lot of guys
Yeah.
sort of they forget that, because marriage ultimately is
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
it's supposed to be a selfless act, because
Yeah.
the whole point is procreation,
Mhm.
right? You're raising your children together. That's, you're how the issues between you and your significant other
Yeah.
shouldn't
Exactly.
carry over into how you raise your children, right? I mean, they now become the focal point. So that's to me, that's the most important thing. And that's important because, I mean,
Mhm.
obviously almost everybody at this point comes from a
Yeah.
divorced household, a broken family of some sort. And and that's the one thing college did for me, was that I wasn't used to
Okay.
that growing up,
Wow.
right? My parents are married 35 something years now,
Oh
or
my.
my
Wow.
grandparents, both my grandparents are married like 60 years plus. Like, so when I saw
Yeah.
in college, like, I was amazed. I was like, why is everybody so
Yeah.
messed up? I'm like, why is
Yeah.
everybody so damaged? Like, everybody's like, it's like, what's going on here? And then I
Mhm.
realized, after I started like dating more girls in
Yeah.
college, I was like, holy crap. I was like,
Yeah. Yeah.
they come from no homes at all. Like, it's destroyed. The families are destroyed. And that's why I say that the ultimate,
Yeah.
the most important thing is the kids, because
Oh my God. Yeah.
it's not fair, in my opinion, to destroy,
Yeah.
to affect your kid's life in a negative way because
Mm-hmm.
of some disagreement you and your significant other had or
Right.
anything like that, right? So, sorry, long story short, that's sort of,
What do you think
that's
what do
really
you
the
think the
only lens
switch?
I
What do you
look
think the
at,
switch flipped in your brain
when
to
it
like
comes to.
start processing that, like going into dating? Like we're like, I'm looking for this. Was it always like that? Like from the beginning, like you were always like, hey, I'm looking for like a partner, or what did you hit an age like 26? You're like, hey, like I want to. Was fun, but I kind of want to take life a little more serious now. Did you have like a realization of that, or not really?
Hey man, listen,
Yeah,
it's in God's
yeah,
hands, man. Like whenever He presents her to me, if
mm,
that day ever comes, if I don't get married, I don't get married. If the right girl comes along, the
yeah,
right
no,
girl comes along. I don't have like a timestamp on it at all. The way I feel is, as I've gotten older every year, I've
yeah,
felt nothing but better
mm,
about myself. I mean, I look better than I did 5 years ago. I feel better than I did 5 years
yeah,
ago. I make more money. Like everything has just progressed very well.
yeah,
Obviously, there's a lot of ups and downs in between that. And there's a lot of lessons learned along the way. But,
yeah,
if I get married 5 years from now, 10 years from now, if
yeah,
that girl doesn't come along, to me, it doesn't matter.
yeah,
To me, I just think, listen, I'm going to be in a better situation than I am now anyway. So that's not really a concern for me. But I mean, when did that switch? See, that's the
yeah.
thing, man. I was never
Okay,
actually
yeah,
like
okay,
an
yeah.
asshole. Like I, like
No, yeah,
even
no,
when I
I get
was
what you mean.
young.
Yeah,
No, I don't mean it. I don't mean. I'm not saying you're an asshole, but but I like even when I was young, even like the first girl I dated in college,
yeah,
like I always had like real
yeah, yeah, yeah,
intentions with
yeah,
people. I just never thought it all the way through per se, right? I never thought like I
yeah,
never knew how to kind of like
yeah,
analyze people and think the whole thing all the way through. But it wasn't until, like I said, probably like I started coming up on my
mm,
mid 20s, I started seeing it more clearly, and it started becoming like everything else in my life, as I felt more firm in who I was and my
mm,
stance on things. I also that was another one of the things that sort of became more solidified in my mind, that it's like, okay, yeah, like this is what
yeah,
will qualify, a
mm,
girl in my mind is like these things, right? So that's probably when it became
yeah,
more like I realized like this is what you got to look for. But I never was like, oh, let's just have fun kind of thing. I feel like that's another
yeah,
that's
yeah,
another like psyop they sell you in college, right? Like just go have sex with everybody, and
mm,
I'm no saint. Don't get me wrong. I mean, I should not be one to talk here, but I'm a guy, and
mm,
at the same time,
yeah, no,
I do believe there's gender roles, right? I'm just gonna be honest, right? I feel like as a guy, I can sort of deal with my
mm,
emotional damage a lot better than most girls can. I think it damages girls way, way more. And I just, don't I
mm,
don't think that's a good
yeah,
thing to
yeah,
be pushing on kids in college, and with the drugs and everything else. It's just like I said, it's kind of just a total mess. But
yeah,
yeah, I don't know how
for sure.
I kind of went off there for a second. But yeah, I was never to
Yeah,
go off that. I was never the guy who was like, oh, I gotta bang like a
okay.
million girls. That was never my
There's
mantra.
never. Do you
So
think being raised in like
I didn't
your
really.
parents being together your whole life and stuff like that played like a big like role in your brain of like how you look at relationships based off like your parents' relationships? Like seeing them together for 35 years, like that
Um,
shaped how you look
so
at
I even have.
relationships.
Yeah,
Yeah.
well, that's a different time period, man.
Oh yeah.
Like you also got to look at the
Yeah.
times we're growing up, where
Yeah.
we're in right
Yeah.
now. Okay,
They didn't have
it's
the
different
internet. They
ball,
didn't have the internet.
totally
So it's like
different ball
that's
game.
what's hilarious.
Very.
That's what I love that expression because
Oh
you're
yeah,
good.
man. Yeah,
I
especially.
think it's so funny because like I've seen things before where it
No,
was
no,
like
go, go, go.
I
No,
love
no,
this like
no.
discussion about like the time zones and like just the different perspectives because like I was like having a conversation with somebody before and it was like they were talking about Tiger Woods. You know how like Tiger Woods like cheated on his wife whatever like 80 times and some guy was like that's so crazy. I would never cheat on my wife. Like I'm like brother. I'm like you're 50 years old. You're fat. You're out of shape. You have no money. No girls want to have sex with you. I'm like Tiger Woods
Yeah.
only had sex with 80 out of 4,000 that threw himself at him. Like I'm like, or people were like, or that's what said like it's like
I
a different
know.
time. So like it said like
I
back
know.
then they didn't have like Instagram where like a girl you put a picture up and a girl's like, hey, do you want to come over? Like that wasn't an option back then. Now it's like you download Tinder and you can have sex with a girl that night. Back
Yeah.
then they didn't have that. It wasn't that crazy. Another one, it's like another thing. I
Yeah.
think a lot of
Yeah.
people say it's like, oh, I'm like super loyal. Like that's the thing. It's like, oh, I'm super loyal. It's like yeah, till you're not because it's like you're loyal until you have the opportunity to it be proven. Or oh, I'm not a liar. It's like until like you do something that you want to lie about, then you lie. It's like you just aren't a liar yet. You haven't really proven that.
Right. Right. people just don't,
Exactly.
they don't have the access to what they act right. Like, if they
Exactly.
had access to it now, would they still act the same? That's the thing is like when I say I am something or I would do something,
Yeah.
all
Yeah.
you have is your word as a man. Like I take that seriously. So to me, it doesn't fucking matter. I don't care. I don't care if freaking,
Yeah.
you know, I don't know, whoever,
Yeah.
Kim Kardashian's like sitting right in front of me, butt ass naked. I don't care. You know what I mean? It doesn't matter.
Yeah. That's
But yeah, I mean, dude,
really.
I'm in Miami now too. It's even worse.
Yeah.
It's even worse, man. But
That is.
it's whatever. I don't.
What's like what do you think the
I
favorite
take it
thing?
for
What's
what
like
it
the
is.
biggest difference, like culture shift you've seen from Miami to New Jersey, like living in difference? Like what is like how is it down there?
Um. Well, if we're talking about girls
Shout out
still,
Jersey,
I
yes.
miss my Jersey girls. I'm just gonna put that out there. So any of the Jersey
Still
girls
there.
watching this, like, hit
Come
me
back.
up. All right, I miss you guys. I miss
Yeah.
my nice little paisan, my little Italian girls.
The jet black
Like
hair.
from
Yeah.
Jersey, the black hair, all that kind of stuff. But too many. Yeah. I love it, love it. You don't really get any of that down here. It makes me sad sometimes. But yeah, culture shift differences. I mean, it's interesting because I feel like this is kind of New York, New Jersey 2.0 a little bit.
Yeah.
There's a lot of people I meet from Connecticut,
Yeah.
New York, New Jersey, Chicago. A lot of people, a couple people
Mhm.
from I like people from Texas, a couple Dallas guys I met
Yeah.
that are pretty cool, and like you get your West Coast weirdos. But aside from that, um, like the people that
Yeah.
are from here, it's so mixed, man. Because I mean, you get a lot of foreigners too.
Mhm.
Foreign girls are great, by the way, amazing. Yeah, they're great. But you got to watch
Yeah.
out sometimes. But I mean, a lot of Europeans. I mean, the people that are from here, I would say
Yeah.
definitely. The stereotypes are real. I mean, like, we definitely. I think the
Yeah.
people up in the Northeast, New Jersey, New York, wherever the tri-state, it's
Yeah.
it's a different work ethic, man. Different work ethic. I mean, we literally live to work. These
Yeah.
people kind of live to vacation a little bit more, a little slow.
Oh my god.
They drive really
Oh.
slow, which drives me up the wall. It's just
Mm.
everything is sort of turned back a little bit. Most people don't work. I'm going to be honest with you. I don't
Yeah.
even know what half the guys do around here. No, I'm serious.
Yeah.
I have no clue. Guys are loaded. They're rich.
Yeah.
A lot of like family money around here. Like there's tons of people that literally
That's
just don't
crazy.
work and somehow are loaded. And it's just different. It's
Yeah.
just very different. A lot of it's pay to play, obviously. I mean, you kind of get that in New York a little bit too, but there's at
Yeah.
least kind of like levels to it. Whereas like in Miami, the levels are
Yeah.
much
Yeah.
more obvious, right? So
Yeah.
like I drive a 3 Series
Yeah.
Beamer and I
Exactly.
have probably the shittiest car on
Dude,
my
don't
property.
park down this parking lot, brother.
Like it's just it. Yeah. So yeah, when I'm
Yeah.
talking to girls down here, I
Literally,
really
yeah.
got to bring my A game, right?
Yeah.
So they're like, "Oh,
Unfortunately,
you don't own
no.
a Lambo," and I'm like, "Just get out of here." I'm like, "Damn it."
What
Yeah, but
did
that's
you? So,
that's kind of
you
how it is. I
moved
mean,
there for work? I
you
would say,
know.
what was was Miami like? Because you had to go there specifically for work, or did you choose specifically Miami in Florida, or is that just because where you had to work at? Yeah,
Well, like I said, I wanted to come down here. I was planning to come down here in the beginning. I had wanted to make the move here because I had been to
Mhm.
Miami probably about 2 or 3 years prior, and I liked it a lot. And I think it was the last day I was here when I came on vacation. It was like right when stuff opened back up for COVID. I drove through Brickell on the last day. I didn't even know what
Mhm.
Brickell was. I was like, "Wow!" I was like, "Brickell's cool. Like, this is nice." And honestly, if you're from here, everybody hates
for
Brickell.
us,
But
Northeasters, it's like dude,
you
this is
know,
heaven. Like we
I
hate it.
liked it, and yeah.
Yeah,
I'm like, this is great. City's clean. I
yeah,
mean, I've
that's
never seen a homeless person
yeah,
here. Like, there's no crackheads like Philly knocking on your car door window.
yeah.
Like,
Oh my,
you know, getting off
literally,
Girard Ave off 95. They're like, hey, and they're like
don't move out the
aggressive too.
lanes and shit.
Yeah, you don't get any of that. Um,
Yeah,
yeah, everything's like really safe here. It's weird
yeah.
because
Oh
you could
wow,
also
really?
like conceal carry here. You don't even need a license or any of that.
Yeah, 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 yeah,
But I never felt the need to. Like,
yeah,
like it's just I don't care.
yeah.
It's like it's not a big deal. Nothing really happens. But yeah, so it was on my radar before
Mhm.
I had the actual like opportunity to make the switch down here. So for me, it was just a no brainer. And if you're asking sort of like why Miami, I believe there's only like two great
Yeah,
cities in this country, and you have like New York and Miami. Even New York is
yeah,
questionable, but I mean, in terms of like really, I don't know, just in my mind, for what you pay to live in any major city, I think there's only two. Yeah, let me
yeah,
rephrase that. There's only two that are worth it, right?
yeah.
New York is kind of debatable on that subject, but if you're going to pay
Yeah,
Manhattan
that's what's crazy.
prices to
That's what's
live
always crazy to me. Like
anywhere, you might as well live in
people pay
Miami,
like it's
right?
crazy 'cause I know people that
I
live in
mean,
Philly,
yeah,
and it's crazy to me that how much money people live to live in Philly. And it's like they live in like Rittenhouse Square, but it's like literally like 5 blocks over is like horrible. Like the slums. It's like you guys are paying 5 grand for an apartment there. It's like, well, you can live in a mansion in Jersey for 5 grand a month. It's like
yeah.
it's so crazy to think like that's it's like, oh, that's not even expensive. Like 5 grand isn't
Listen,
even that crazy compared to like how like
yeah,
you get a penthouse and like the bigger floors and then big buildings shut down in Center City. They're insane.
yeah, yeah, yeah. I have a
Yeah.
lot of not nice words for Philly, but
Yeah.
not just from living there. Like I got
Yeah.
so frustrated living there. I will never move back there. It's sad
Yeah.
because I actually like the city. Like I think it's a
Yeah.
nice residential city. I'll put it that way. Like you could buy some
Yeah.
really beautiful properties, like in
Yeah.
Rittenhouse, for example, or Old City. I love
Yeah. Yeah.
like I love the townhomes in Philly, like the
Mhm.
old,
Yeah.
the old,
South Philly
like
and shit like that.
brownstone style type townhomes that they have. They're beautiful, and you can make them so nice. They're big, they're awesome,
Yeah.
and there's some really nice like pockets and really nice
Yeah.
neighborhoods. But the city overall, I just think is just
Oh
a
my god.
mess.
Brutal.
Honestly,
When
just
you
kind
when
of
you
run
went to
down.
Temple, when you lived at Temple for your when you went
Yeah,
there, did you move off? Is that the only 4 years you lived in Philly, or you lived off campus after school too, or no?
yeah.
Okay,
I
after
lived
school you
off
stayed in the city.
campus for the year after school as well. So I was working a little bit in Philly after. I just
Yeah.
ended up. I didn't want to. I wasn't moving back home. I stayed in Philly until COVID, and
Yeah.
then when that whole whatever went down, that was when I came back to Jersey, and nobody knew what was going on, and I ended up staying with my parents, which I thought was going to be like a month
Yeah.
thing, ended up turning into like a whole nother year.
Yeah.
That was just a whole nother mess. That was horrible. I'd never want to go back to
The
that
COVID
again.
threw a wrench in everyone's life.
Yeah, that was, oh man, moving back in
Yeah.
with your
That's got,
parents
yeah.
after you've already moved out for like a
That's got
good
to be
amount of
that's a
years
culture
is
shock right there. Move back in with that.
bad,
Even if you
man.
get along,
Oh,
even if you get
especially
along with
with
your
my
parents,
mom. Are
it's
you
still
kidding
like
me?
it's a different atmosphere. Like you're used to being by yourself, or even if you lived with a roommate, it's a little bit different because like your parents still always have that not authority over you, but they still have that like upper hand a little bit. It's never on equal playing field.
Yeah, it's just a
Yeah,
constant.
exactly. Yeah,
There's always a constant little tension going on, but it was good because it was good because me and my brother spent a lot of
yeah,
time together. So me and him got like really really close, which was nice because I was away for a while for college and stuff, and my brother at that
yeah,
point
exactly.
like
Yeah,
kind of got older. He was like 18, 19 at the time,
yeah.
so he kind of
Definitely
needed a big brother a little bit.
going through COVID definitely would have been nice.
Yeah,
It was
so
nice to
it
have
was
you
nice.
there and shit. So I'm sure having your parents and him, I'm sure that would have been a lot rougher.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah. Oh, yeah. If it was just him, my parents would have been horrible. He probably
Exactly.
would have come
Do you
out a
think
lot different
your
at this
parents got
point.
a little bit less strict with him, or not really? That's always how it works, isn't it?
Oh my God, 100%. That's not even a question.
No,
That is
I have an
not
older
even. Are
brother.
you? Are you the old? Are you? You
I
have
have an older
older? Are
brother,
you
a
older or
younger brother,
younger?
and a younger sister.
Oh, so
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
so you're kind of a middle child,
I don't
right?
even know how it works. But
I I don't know how
I
that
know
works
my
with
brother
middle
used to
kids. Did they
always
get
say that
easier?
because my
Or?
older brother, my parents weren't like super strict, but like with him because like he was really smart too. So like obviously they pushed him to do like good things. It's like they knew like he literally could
Yeah.
like read before he was in kindergarten. Like he could read in preschool. My mom taught him how to read. So like obviously they had like bigger
Yeah.
aspirations. And then like obviously you
Yeah.
get old, like they just learn from mistakes. Like oh we didn't need to go that hard with that, or maybe we should have pushed a little bit harder than this. So then when it came to me, it was like a little bit. They already had a little bit of a guide. So my older brother used to always you guys didn't even you would have never let me
Yeah.
do that when I was a kid. So I'm sure like you probably went through the same shit. Definitely sit your parents were strict.
Yeah. 100%, man. Dude,
Literally.
the oldest child is like the experiment child. So the the
Yeah.
parents always
Yeah.
are the hardest on
They
the
have,
oldest
like,
one
go
because they don't know what the hell
overboard
they're
because they don't
doing.
want to mess up. They don't want to be too
That's
lenient.
just
They're gonna go crazy.
yeah. Like yeah, they definitely went overboard on me a little bit. Like with my
Yeah.
brother, it was
Mhm.
still stricter than most other parents, but
Yeah.
definitely not as strict as it was with me.
Yeah.
And also, my brother's the
Yeah. Exactly.
baby.
Yeah.
Like him and my mom
Yeah.
are like, he's like little mama's boy, so she definitely went a lot easier on him. But I'm like the black sheep of the family, kind
Yeah.
of. So I'm
Exactly.
always causing
Little headaches here and
problems,
there for him.
you know.
Does your brother want to? Does he like want to
Yeah,
move to
but it's
Florida with
worth
you
it.
if he becomes part of the business, or he likes Jersey? He's got roots in Jersey. He
Listen.
doesn't want to
I tried
go.
getting that kid down here like 20 times already, but I don't know what his deal is. I think he's it's not that he doesn't want to go. I just don't think he feels
Yeah. Okay.
kind of secure enough yet
Yeah.
financially to kind of make a move like that. And he
Yeah.
might be kind of right on that because it is expensive down here. So
Yeah.
I just don't think he's like ready mentally to make that move. It's not that he's against it. I
Yeah.
know
Oh
he's
my God.
definitely
How could you
sick
not
of
be?
Jersey, but
Mhm.
at some point, I mean, he's 24. Like I'll give him a little bit. I'm sure he'll get
Mhm.
within the next maybe 2 years or so. He'll probably be like, "Give me
Out of
back
all,
out of
so
here."
that's a good question because for you, because it's like obviously like a lot of different ventures you've been through in your life, different jobs. So, what do you think like the proudest moment of yourself you've ever been? Like, what do you think like a moment in your life that you made yourself proud, like the most proud? What is
Oh
it?
man, dude, it's like an
It's
interview
like
question, man. Shit.
it's just
Oh, oh God, where do I start? Where do I start with this one? Proud moment, man. Let me think. Dude, I'm gonna be honest with you. I don't
oh yeah,
have that because I'm too critical on myself. Like I'm very
mm,
like in my mind, nothing I've done even up until this point is anywhere near good
mm,
enough. Like I kind of think I'm a fuck up in my head still, but like like
yeah,
it's not until other people tell me you know, like
yeah,
I realize like other people actually kind of look up to me a little bit, and then I'm like, oh, I guess I'm not that like of a retard. But yeah, I don't think I could say I have like a moment where I was proud for something specific. But I'm very,
mm,
very just proud of
yeah,
who I am. I mean, on a daily basis,
mm,
right? Like just how I carry myself as a person. Like I said, I know where I stand on things. I know what hill I'm going to die
yeah,
on.
exactly.
Nobody's changing that in my
You're proud of
mind.
the man you've
I
become
have
and
my
like shaped yourself
convictions,
into
and
becoming
that's
over the years. Yeah,
yeah, and who I'm still becoming. I feel
mhm,
like I said,
yeah,
it's like I feel like I
I feel
just
the same way.
started. It's crazy because yeah, I'm 29. Which,
Literally,
yeah, dude, I feel like I
literally.
just got
But you know,
got
it's so
going.
funny. You
I'm
know,
like,
it's
I'm
I
ready
don't
to
know about
go,
you, but like,
man.
it's
I'm
so
like,
funny.
oh,
Like when
let's
I
let's
was
kill it.
20 or like 21, I felt like a grown ass man. I'm like, dude, I'm a fucking adult. I'm a grown man. I know everything. Like I know who I am, and it's so funny to think like I know
Yeah,
nothing. I'm like, I look
yeah,
back at when I was, even if I look at pictures when I was 21, I'm like, I couldn't imagine that dude right there saying he's a grown man. I look like a little kid. So like I couldn't imagine people taking me serious when I was like saying 21, like,
yeah,
oh, I know what I was talking about, or I know what life's about, or I know what I want to do. It's like I was so young and just thinking like,
yeah.
yeah,
It's this weird like illusion young men have where you think you know how the world works, and until
yeah.
you kind of just get fucked over enough times, and then you
I was
realize,
gonna
oh,
say, like,
I don't know how shit works at all.
the
I'm
more
like,
you know, the more you realize you
like,
don't know
well, let
anything
me
because it's like that's like once you realize, like, oh shit, I don't actually know anything.
right. Yeah, and that's kind of when you think about it now as like an older
Yeah,
guy, I'm sure you agree with it too.
yeah, yeah.
I'm saying older
More
like you're
mature.
like 50, but you know what I mean. That's kind of the switch you make in your mind is that yeah, I've gained all this
Yeah,
experience and I know so much more now than I did then, but I sit comfortably in the fact that
yeah, literally, yeah.
I know
Really.
I still don't really know anything, man.
That's what's so funny.
I don't know how any of this
Yeah,
stuff
like you're
works.
comfortable knowing
I'm
you're
I'm
just so
cool with
comfortable
it.
knowing it's like I don't know everything and it's cool and I know I'm learning. So it's like that's all I can do. I know I'm just getting better and I'm every day that I'm learning, I'm using that to become a better person. So
Yeah,
it's like in the end, I'm still winning. So it's like, where do you think all this comes from?
yeah. Yeah. I'm just walking,
Literally,
I'm just
literally.
walking in swinging, man. At this point,
Yeah.
like letting them
Exactly.
out, letting
What do you
them
think? Like you
hang.
said, like you're
That's all
really
I can do.
hypercritical, or like you like
All right,
to
what you
just
gonna
like
say?
throw yourself into stuff. Where do you think all that comes from? Like, what do you think like being hypercritical of yourself, or like you said like you like to just put yourself back against the wall, and that's when you perform the best. What do you think like? what triggered you to be like so hypercritical? You think is that just something like because you have such high standards for yourself, or
Dude, man, it's another one of those things. I think I don't know. I'd like to say I think it's like genetic or something, but no one in my
yeah,
family is even kind of on the level I'm on, which is kind of weird. Um, I couldn't say, man. I've always just been like that. I mean, dude, even like in elementary school, I
mm-hmm.
remember like in art
Mm-hmm.
class, I had to have like the best work of art in the class. Like I had to make sure everything was super perfect. I've just always been a perfectionist, like all the way through and through. I don't know. I mean, even in piano, like if I would
Yeah,
mess up, I'll,
mm-hmm.
I'll restart that a million times. You know, like I'll just keep doing it and doing it and doing it. I don't know. I just become very obsessive, and that was kind of my big problem in college. Was like I felt like I didn't have enough, and you know, like I always, yeah, like you said, back against the wall. Like I'm under pressure. I work good, but I don't know where that
Mm-hmm.
that yeah that perfectionist mentality came from. I mean, dude, if you go through my house right now, like
Yeah. That's
you're
a,
not going to find a
is
speck
that
of
something you
dust on
like
my
about
floor,
yourself?
man. Like
Do you
I'm a
like that
little
about yourself, or do
crazy
you
with
think
it.
like you would
I'm a little
like
crazy, but
has it caused like has that caused issues down the line for you, like or like not issues? I'm saying, do you like that about yourself, or do you wish sometimes you could kind of just like take it easy and let go a little bit, and like you see other people like just fucking chilling, and like oh like you walk in their house and it's dirty, and like oh, that would drive me crazy. I'd never be able to do that. Like, do you care, or you like it's yeah no yeah not
I
dirty.
mean,
But I'm saying
somebody
like but I'm saying
else's
like
house is.
do you
Sorry, go ahead.
does it like is it would you have rather not like been as over excessive about everything, or it's kind of like obviously I'm not saying like would you change yourself, but I'm saying like the pros and cons. Like is there any cons of this that you have this personality trait, or it's kind of just like
It's kind of like, listen, you
yeah
gotta weigh out the importance of what you're being obsessive over, because sometimes I'll find myself
yeah
obsessing over things
yeah
that really like I should not be obsessing over, and
mhm,
that if anything are taking time away from other stuff, right? And that's where, if anything, it kind of gets, you know, out of hand.
okay
But
yeah
I'm good at recognizing that and being like, okay, stop. You know what I mean?
yeah
And I'll let it bother me. It'll kind of bother me
yeah
in the back of my head, but I'll just try and forget about it. But uh, no, because I mean, listen, when it comes time
yeah
to, you
yeah
know,
oh, yeah
like
for
there's
sure
things that you do need to be obsessive over, right? And that you should be obsessive over.
yeah
And I think that's what's made me really good at a lot of things,
mhm,
is kind of that mentality. So yeah, no,
mhm,
I definitely, I mean, I love it. I'm happy for it. Does it,
yeah
am I like kind of a psycho running around here sometimes? Yeah, definitely. But you know, that's kind of where the gym came in, man, because the gym was like the only thing
yeah
that
yeah
like kind
mhm,
of got this to slow down for a minute, you know? Um, yeah, I remember like first time I
mhm.
ever like picked up a weight or got like a pump in my life.
yeah
Dude, I was addicted
yeah
instantly, like instantly. I was like, I need to keep doing this. Like, this is insane. Because like really
yeah
what it was I just wanted
yeah
that mental clarity. Like it just gave
mhm,
me that mental release that I needed,
yeah yeah
and then I'm good until, you know, same time the
yeah
next day, and
exactly.
then I gotta
That's
gotta
that.
do it
There's the
again, you
addictive
know.
personality right back in it. It's like you
So
start it, you
yeah.
got to do it again. Yeah,
Well, that's what happened. Then it became addictive.
exactly.
You know, that I became obsessive over that, and now I'm
Yeah,
like, you know, I'm trying to like, you know, competing and all this kind of stuff, and I'm like, how did? Sometimes I'm like, how did I even
it's
get this far?
so
Like,
funny how that
why
works
did
with a
I
lot of
take it
stuff.
this
Like I
far? You
felt
know what I
like
mean?
I've saying the same thing. Like I'll start something, and 5 years later, it's like, why am I even doing this? Like it's like I'm just such a I'm like a creature of habit, and I feel like that's like a lot like to do with like why like I'm not good about it, but that why I fit so easy in that because it's like just something as stupid as this. Like I'll buy a coffee creamer, and I'm like, ah, that's all right, and I'll just use it for 5 years, and someone like, have you ever tried this one? I'm like, no, I've always, and it's like I tried on one. It's like, why didn't I try a different one like 5 years ago? This one is 10 times better.
Yeah,
It's cheaper. I like this flavor better, but I'm like, oh, that's just the one I've been buying for 5 years, and it's
yeah,
just out of
yeah.
habit I do it. So like, I have so many instances like where people tell me, like, or like they'll just tell me like, oh, do you ever try this way? I'm like, no, I literally never even thought of that. Like, I do it my way, and that's the only thing that's ever entered my brain. Like anything else, I don't even think of. It's so crazy to think like, which is like literally,
Hey man, if it works,
exactly.
if it ain't broke,
I
don't
find so
fix
much
it.
of
That's
that shit
also
that
my
just that's
motto,
how it
man.
happens.
Like,
But I have another,
yeah, just
yeah,
keep going what works, especially with diet and stuff too, man. I noticed like I like to do that as well because there's
yeah.
certain things like my body's just used to
Oh my god, yeah,
processing,
Yeah,
after all
that's
this
all.
time,
That's
and I don't feel like changing it.
oh,
sometimes you change it up, and
literally start
you're
feeling.
like,
That's why
your
I
body's
went
like,
like
what's going on?
months without having like cheat meals or free meals because it's like or like food that's not like clean healthy food for people who don't know bodybuilding terms, because it's like you eat like 'cause I remember one time when I was young, I was like in a juvenile placement when I was young. And like the first time I just told my mom was just talking about the story with me the other day. Like I got out, I didn't like it was in there for like 4 months and like got to come home for the weekend and I had Wendy's and I literally threw up because my body wasn't used to like grease or like fast food and stuff like that. And I was eating candy and I was so
Yeah,
sick and it was
yeah,
like so crazy. It was like if you don't eat it, like, and then it's like then I was like, why do I want to eat this food? Like I feel
yeah,
horrible eating this food. So it's like I'll just stick to my normal food. It's like fuck that. I don't want to get sick.
dude. It's so funny. Last month after nationals, dude. That
Mhm.
night after the show was over, I went out with my dad. We went to like some Italian restaurant. I had like some basic, just
Yeah,
little like
yeah,
pasta, pizza. I didn't go too overboard, dude.
yeah.
As soon as
It's
I got
crazy,
back
right?
to the Airbnb, I yacked my brains out.
Yeah,
So it was just done. I was like, I couldn't. I
yeah.
felt horrible. I couldn't sleep the rest of the night. I
And
was
it
like,
was, and
what's
it
going
probably,
on?
like we
My
said, it
body
wasn't like
like
that
went in
crazy because like
shock.
you probably
Like,
could
what
think
the
back to
hell?
like I'm the same way. Like when I was in prep, like I had my post show meal and it was like I was so full and it was like an entree. Like bro, I used to eat like 6 burgers from McDonald's
Yeah.
daily. Yeah, yeah. I'm like,
Yeah,
dude, I could eat. Like
I've
that's something
seen
like
those
I've always
stories,
prided myself.
man.
I'm like
Yeah,
I
you
could
guys.
eat, and it was like I'm like
Yeah,
how am I full? Is your stomach shrinks? But then it's like oh I'm just gonna keep eating. People
yeah,
like I'm like what they say like like they say like a dog can eat itself to
yeah,
death. I'm like that's literally me. Like I could just sit there and just gorge, and then it's like I literally
yeah,
dead
yeah.
after. I'm like, why did I do that? It's
You,
like same thing. Like I'm just such like everything in access. Like I'm just like if it's like oh I get to eat whatever I want. It's like I'm gonna eat till I throw up then, and then I eat till I throw up. Then I'm like, why did I do that? But it's just like I don't have like
yeah, yeah,
I'm very hard at like gauging that type of stuff where it's like an off like as I said like an off on switch like everything. But that's like for me like addictive personality definitely runs like super genetic deep in my family. Like my brother was an alcoholic. My younger brother, my older brother overdosed on heroin. He was a drug addict. My dad's whole side of the family are alcoholics. My mom's people on her side. So it's like I know that about myself. Like I am like super have like a super like addictive personality. Like if I do something once, I'm just like I go.
yeah,
Like, exactly,
yeah.
and that's what's
Well, it's
great.
good to do
That's like
bodybuilding,
what you
man.
said, like nature nurture. Like
That's
my older brother was addicted to drugs. My younger brother was an alcoholic, and then it's me. I smoked weed once, smoked weed like twice, and drank once my whole life. And it's like we were raised in the same house. We all have addictive personalities. Like I am 100% addicted to like the
yeah,
gym and that type of like lifestyle. So like there's no debate about it. It's so crazy how like
yeah.
yeah,
Better that,
it is
man. I
crazy.
think the alcohol and all that stuff just poisons you
Mhm.
over time. Definitely, just damages the hell out of you. So it's a
I,
much
I got a
better,
couple
much
questions
better
for you. I
place
just want to ask you a
for
couple
the
good
gym.
ones. These are like just funny ones.
Yeah,
I like to see. Oh, well, here's a funny one for you.
yeah,
This
yeah.
would definitely be good for you. What was your first kiss? Do you remember your first kiss? I love these like stories.
Dude, my
Oh,
first
yeah, like
kiss.
that's not like
All right, are we talking
like the
like
first
what
like
do we
not like
mean
you were
first kiss?
dared as a
Like,
kid to do it. Like your actual first kiss. Like do you remember like your like middle school like fucking or when or
I
yeah.
kissed a girl in kindergarten. That wasn't like a
I go,
dare. Like I did it on purpose. That was kind of funny though. That was no,
okay,
that was
yeah,
like my parents ended up taking
yeah,
pictures of the
yeah,
whole
yeah.
thing.
I
It
know
was
what you're talking
stupid.
about. Yeah, like
Not
it was
like
like your
that. Not in a
neighbor or
weird way.
someone.
That
Yeah,
sounds wrong. That came out really wrong. But
yeah,
yeah, it was
yeah.
like some girl I was hanging out with. Her parents were over talking to my
Mm.
parents. Like I'm just like, hey, it's like you want a kiss? Like she's
Turn
like
the head
not
a
on
little
the
bit
lips.
quick.
I'm like, oh, okay. No, I don't know. And it's just funny. Every time I think about that, it's funny. But I don't know, man. My first actual kiss, dude. I don't know why I don't know this. Let me think. Let me think. Let me think. I mean, I'll be straight up with you, man. Wait, hold on. Did I kiss any girls in high school?
I believe it. Yeah. I mean, I don't.
I'm
I don't
telling you,
think.
man, I was pretty
I don't
bad.
think my.
That
Yeah,
was kind of.
I only had one kiss my whole high school life. So
Really, it wasn't, dude. It wasn't until it wasn't until I got to college. It was
mm,
like some girl I met from
mm,
orientation who me and her kind of liked each other, and
yeah.
like I think all we ever did was make out. You know what I mean?
See,
That was pretty much it.
that's a good story though because that's like damn, like, that's pretty
That was
crazy to
it.
think like
I mean, it was
that all the way through high school. And it's like then like that's I love that story because it's like you and like you're still in the same spot you are now. And it's like, what did you miss out on? Nothing. It's like it's so funny because it's like it seems so big. Like when you are in high school, it's like, oh, bro, you didn't have your first kiss yet. But now you look back, it's like,
Yeah,
bro, like
yeah,
that
yeah.
was like it did not matter the slightest. But like when you're like you feel so pressured when you're young to think like, oh, I have to have my first kiss by 10th grade, or oh, my buddy already kissed a girl in ninth grade. It's like, when am I ever finally going to get a kiss a
Yeah.
girl? Then it's like you flash forward, it's like, bro, that literally never even thought about it since. It's like means nothing.
Yeah, never even thought about it. Yo, it's funny though, because it's like, guys are sitting here, we're like, yeah, I didn't have my first kiss till college.
No,
But like, dude, the
no,
girls had already
really,
done
yeah,
way more at that point. Like, I was like,
yeah, literally, oh, 100%.
that kind of intimidated me. That's why, like, early on in
Oh,
college, I was not good with a lot of
I'd be
girls
scared
because
personally.
they kind of scared me, honestly, because I knew they had,
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
they had way more experience than me. I was like,
Look at you,
whoa,
like you knew, like you're
I
like
can't put
now
up
you
with
live in the city, you live in
that.
Philly.
Like, I
Now
don't know
you
what
hear
to
like
do.
this, the girls with this experience. You're out of your element. It's like, damn, I would feel. So I only had one
Yeah.
girl for like the whole high school and stuff like that. So like I couldn't imagine like getting thrust off into college. And then it's like, damn, like I don't know, like you're hearing all these stories, or even from the dudes you know and stuff like that, like that you're in college with. It's like, damn, like I'm just like just getting into this type of deal. It's like,
Yeah, yeah, no, I mean, dude, I rushed a frat my first
yeah,
semester because I didn't know what to
yeah,
do with my life. You know what I mean? I was in college. I was like bored. I was like, all right. So like I got kind of thrown into that whole scene, and yeah, it was just kind of a
yeah.
whole like experience.
That's huge.
I was like, wow, I was like, what is going on? Actually, it's funny. Somebody had a picture of me from when I was a freshman, my first semester. I was like, it
Mm.
was probably within the first like month or two. And I was just sitting I was like standing
Yeah,
on the
like
stoop
North
in
Philly.
the frat house, right?
Yeah,
And I was just sitting there, just smiling. Like somebody took a picture of me, and bro, it's funny because like you could like I look at that
yeah.
picture, like I could see the
It's so
innocence
funny.
in my eyes. Like I was such a child, and then when I compare it to like the pictures like after college,
Been
I'm
through
like,
experience a little bit now.
wow. I'm like that's a different,
It's like a
yeah,
picture where it's like
that's
you
a different
before and
boy,
after.
you
It's like
know.
you, and then it's like the picture like black
But
and white is after. It's like all like faded and shit, like skin's all wrinkled. It's like looks like 30 years
yeah,
fast forwarded.
yeah, it's yeah, literally. I went through like puberty a second time. I'm like, what the hell happened, you know?
It's
But
that is
yeah, I
pretty.
don't.
That is
It's yeah,
that is pretty.
it's
That
funny.
is
It's funny
funny
how
though.
that
It's
works.
so crazy to think like how much pressure like you are as a kid to do that type of stuff, and then it's like, and then to think back like I'm sure like your mom or like your like I'm sure you knew like people like you had that in your head like yo like relax. It's like you're young, like it's you have your whole life ahead of you. But it's so funny when you're young, you don't look at like yo, you have your whole life ahead of you. Now, like that when I was 18, I thought like everything had to happen now, and now I'm like I'm 10 years fast forward. And now I'm like, dude, I have my whole life. I'm like, bro, I might not get married till I'm 7 years old. Who cares? I got my whole life ahead of me.
Yeah, but that's the thing now is like it's funny because yeah, when I was young, my
Yeah,
mom was more like,
yeah,
you're not talking to girls kind
yeah.
of thing. I never even
It
thought
wasn't
about
even
bringing
a
a girl home.
question, dude.
What are you kidding me? It wasn't even like
Wasn't
I
even a
didn't,
ballpark.
wasn't even a question. And it's funny because it's like
Yeah,
now that I'm like,
yeah,
coming up on
yeah.
30, the big 3-0,
This is when I'm
everybody's
like,
like,
I'm not bringing no girls home, dude. Hell
what are you
no. They
doing?
can just come around.
Yeah, yeah. I was like, hey,
Yeah,
I was like, the policy has stayed the
yeah,
same all these years.
yeah,
I've still never brought a girl home to this day. You know what I mean?
yeah,
I keep my like relationships away from my parents. I think I did
yeah.
it like once or twice. It
Lesson
was like the
learned.
biggest mistake. I would never do that again. But yeah. But it's funny when you're dating as you get older though now because now it's like
Yeah, yeah,
nah, you kind of don't want anyone now at this point because it's like
yeah.
everybody's just kind of lived their whole life
Mhm.
already, and everybody's got all these different experiences, and I'm
Yeah,
kind of
yeah,
just like,
exactly.
I don't
That's the
want
hard.
anything to
That's the
do
hard
with
thing too, because at the end of the day, it's like you
that.
can't
you
let
know?
like people like bring past issues into the next relationships too. So it's like it's so hard. A lot of different stuff. It's like you got to weigh through that all that. It's like someone might be dealing with past trauma, and they bring that into your relationship, and you don't even know that they're dealing with that. And it's like that now that's weighing on your relationship. It's so crazy to think like how much stuff plays into that. And it's like you didn't sign up for that. You're like, damn, I just signed up to
Yeah,
meet a cool,
well,
nice girl. It's like now I got to fucking be a therapist on the side because you dealt with because you
yeah,
made bad life decisions. Now I have to pay for it.
yeah.
You got to pay the piper
Deal with
now.
I don't deal with that shit, dude.
I said,
I
now you got
don't
to
deal
pay the
with that
piper because
shit.
someone else fucked up. It's like,
What?
all right, dude. Now I got to now I got to mend all the wounds here. It's like, ugh.
yeah. No, I don't even talk to girls my age or our age. Are you kidding me? It's
What
like
is
that's just a
that's
recipe
a
for
great one for you.
disaster.
What do you think like some advice? Obviously, you don't have regrets and stuff like that, but like, what would be some advice that you would give your younger self? Not like any age, any type of advice. It could be as simple as just like like what you're saying.
Don't
That's
buy
a
real
very
estate
specific one.
properties in
Okay,
Philly.
no real estate in Philly for the younger self. Cut
Yeah,
that out.
yeah. Don't. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. Don't shoot yourself in the foot, kid. Don't buy real estate in
avoid
Philly.
that
All
one.
right,
That's for all
don't.
the
It's
young
not
listeners too.
worth your time.
No West
Yeah,
Philly properties. No
avoid
West
that
Philly
one.
properties for any of you
Huh?
guys. Avoid that at all costs. That's a good one.
Yeah,
Very
no West
specific.
Philly properties. Yeah, yeah. Horrible, horrible.
Lit-
Nightmare
quite literally nightmares
situations
in
over
West
there,
Philly,
man.
in
I don't even
Philly
want to think
sometimes.
about it.
What do another one about the
Yeah,
family? What
yeah,
like was
no,
there
it's
any like
funny.
traditions you guys had as a family that like, you like still like are so glad your parents put in like instill with you guys and like you love that you guys still keep together now or not really? It could be like based on the holidays, shit like that. Most people like have the tradition like holiday
At this
traditions,
point
but
now,
some people just have other ones like random ones. If your family has any random ones, that'd be sick. But
yeah, yeah. I mean, most traditions now, my family. So my family's kind of weird because my mom grew up with. She was one of four. Um, Only one of her brothers
mm,
had kids. The other brother had no kids. Her sister had no kids. Very weird. So I didn't really grow up with a lot of cousins.
really,
Neither of
oh
my
my
dad's
god, you
two
got
siblings
nobody.
had kids. So yeah, and both
Yeah,
both of them came from huge families. I mean, like they had tons of cousins. My dad especially had like
yes, that,
50 first
yeah,
cousins. His My grandparents had like my dad had like 10 uncles. Like just I don't know what
yeah.
happened with us, but for some reason they kind of dropped the ball there. But we definitely did have traditions growing up. I think the one thing that I respect the most and that I'm going to continue to do with my family. My grandma
Yeah.
now is too old. I mean, she's 95. Obviously, she's kind of slowed down a lot, but um, we used to do
Oh yeah,
Sunday
I love that.
dinners
Yeah,
every single Sunday. That's like a big Italian thing, right? My grandma would cook at the house every single Sunday. The whole family would be there. My
mm,
aunts, my uncles, my cousins, everybody. That's like the one thing.
yeah,
And
yeah, yeah.
despite like we would do the regular traditional stuff that most Italians do on the holidays, but
That is
I
such
think
that's
the
such like a
every Sunday,
yeah,
meeting on Sundays,
that's such
yeah,
an
that
that's
was
such an
honestly the
Italian
better
culture
one.
thing too. It's so crazy.
It
Like I
was,
know so many people that are Italians. Like Sunday dinners is what it is. It's so crazy that
yeah,
it's like such a culture thing, and it's like something that you like when you get older. You value that stuff. It's because when you were young, you probably didn't want to go. It's like I'm watching TV. It's like why the fuck do I got to get up and go to dinner? Can I just stay home? But now when you're older, it's like damn, like that was fun, and
yeah.
like I wish I was my family could get together every week, but everyone's got their lives and stuff.
Yeah, yeah, man. Yeah, yeah, honestly, yeah, it was great, and I definitely plan on doing that with my family, and it's
Yeah,
also that's why
yeah,
the wife thing is it's got to be right, right? Because I also if I'm having kids,
yeah,
it's one of those
yeah,
things where you
exactly.
get obsessive, right? I'm having a lot of kids.
Literally.
I gotta rebuild this
Yeah, that
bloodline now,
last
okay? Because
generation fucked it up
we
for you.
lost a lot on the way, so now I gotta bring it back up. Yeah, so that's why I would definitely love to do that.
That
I
was
mean, maybe I'll
that was
find
one of
some
the
girl
questions.
from
I'm always
Italy. Who
curious on
knows?
like
I'm trying to learn
where people
Italian
live.
right
They
now,
think if you couldn't live in
but
the U.S., where would you live? I'm assuming you're going to say Italy.
100%, man. First of
Yeah,
all, I love my European girls. Number one, like every European chick that I've taken out is
different culture
just
over there too, right?
listen. I don't like American girls. I'm gonna be honest with you. Just different culture, different personality, just different, just very
Yeah,
like just different. They're very
yeah.
calm. It's just
Definitely
very
for where we
kind of
live up
nice.
in the
It's a nice
Northeast too. It's
change
like
of pace.
nothing is calm up
Honestly,
here. Everything is like fucking. Everyone's so crazy. Yeah,
yeah. I mean, I'm cool with
yeah,
not being
yeah.
calm. Like
You
I
want
could
to be
be
a
that
little bit
way
like
as
have
the
the peace
guy,
and
but like
quiet, the
I
uncle.
feel like the girl I want to be with. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
I need to be relaxed a little bit when I'm like with my significant other or whatever. But yeah, I'm a big believer in
yeah,
keeping it in the bloodline per se. So I definitely would
yeah.
prefer that my wife is also Italian.
Mm,
I'm not 100% full disclosure. I'll just throw that out there, but I also don't.
yeah,
I like my tradition. I like my culture. I like what
yeah,
Italians are. I like
yeah,
the
yeah,
history. Like I'm proud of my heritage, honestly. So that's kind of where a lot of that comes from. And I
100%.
want the same things for my kids.
Yeah,
I want my
yeah,
wife to be a no-no
exactly.
one
Like you,
day, and I
as you're
want
raised,
her
that's
to
like you like
make
that.
the
You
sauce
like that
every
because that's how
Sunday.
you're
You
raised. So
know,
that's like
like
100% understandable why you value that.
right, right. And that's for me also.
Yeah,
It's like what I relate to the most as well. And I know
mhm,
that the morals that I have and the grounding that I have
yeah,
came from that culture and that heritage and that tradition. So
yeah,
that's
exactly.
I want the same obviously for my
Have you
kids.
ever been to Italy?
Yeah, yeah. Funny enough, no, but I'm
I was so
really
sick.
trying to go this summer if I can. Um, that's why
Yeah,
I'm technically trying to learn the language right now. But I
yeah.
don't know. Spanish has
You're in
kind of gotten
Miami,
in
dude.
the
That's like
way
the first
because
language. Yeah,
there's a lot of Latina girls down here,
yeah,
man. So I feel like I kind of need to take advantage of the
yeah. I
opportunity
got it.
because if I'm gonna learn Spanish, it's happening now. Otherwise, I'm never gonna learn it again. So yeah, the Spanish kind of I was
You
trying to
might be
do
on that.
both, but the
What's that?
Spanish kind of took over a
What's
little
the
bit.
app?
So I feel
Duolingo
like I
or
want
something like that? You're about
to
to be a
hammer that
mess on
down.
that Duolingo app, dude. Is that a
Yeah, I got
stereotype?
Duolingo. I got these flashcards. I got some textbooks. Yeah, interactive
Yeah.
textbooks.
That's
I
what they say.
got
It's good though, because like, if you're learning a second language, they say
got
like you need to
the
practice it
got
and
the
stay fluent in it. So you're no better spot to be in. Everyone down there speaking Spanish, so you ain't gonna have no problem keeping it in the rotation.
yeah.
Dude, I
Yeah,
have to
I
date
got
my
my
Latina
Latina
girl. Dude,
girls on the side helping
I
me
have to
out
stay fresh
too.
on the
You know.
language. It's like, no, I was saying you. I'm
Oh
saying
wait,
you. Like you have to.
you got a Latina
You're
girlfriend?
gonna have to date Latinas because you have to stay up on the language.
Oh.
It's like, oh,
Yeah, well,
I
I
got a
mean, that's kind of what
choice.
put me onto it, man. I was like,
Yeah, yeah.
like I said, the opportunity presented itself to me, and I was like,
That's about it.
I might as well learn
So you get
Spanish
the
while
best
I'm
teachers
here,
from possible.
So
You got all the best teachers out
it's
there.
kind of what happened.
Go in tubers.
Yeah,
Go in
yeah,
tutors.
seriously. Yeah,
They're rubbing off on you. It's like,
it's
all
kind
right,
of
dude, I
working,
guess.
honestly. So I'm like, all right.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean,
Have
why
you been
not?
down
I'll
there?
learn
So,
Spanish and
is
I'll
there
learn
any like Spanish
Italian.
food that like
So
since you've
who
been down there?
cares?
There's a lot of like big Spanish culture down in Florida, Miami, obviously. Is there anything that like you've like noticed like, damn, I fucking love this Spanish dish, or
Yeah.
like anything from that type of shit you love? Yeah,
Listen, man, I'm Italian. Okay,
yeah,
we got the best food in existence. I don't care what anyone says. I'm not, I'm not like a huge fan
mhm.
on like Latin cuisine, to be quite honest with you. I don't really know,
You
like,
love some churros
all
though.
right, like a lot of the Argentinians,
Who doesn't love churros?
lots of churros. Like, there's like, you know how like you know
Yeah,
how in New York you have like the dollar pizzas on like the corner?
yeah,
Over here, it's like the same thing, but with
yeah,
empanadas, right? Like there's like literally get empanadas everywhere. I'm like, and like every
yeah,
Latin like country
yeah.
makes empanadas a little differently, and like they
Ecuadorian
all are like, oh,
empanadas,
our
El
empanadas are better,
Salvador.
and I'm like, it all kind of just tastes like
Yeah,
all kind of just tastes like dog food to me, honestly. But you know, I mean, some of the Argentinian places are pretty good because a
yeah,
lot of it's like they have good steakhouses and all
yeah,
that, and they're like
yeah,
more into like the meats, the proteins, right? Um, which is nice. The Argentinians also kind of steal a lot of Italian cuisine as
yeah.
well, so I don't even know if that's really like real Latin. If you're going like Cuban, I mean, maybe like
Okay,
I don't know, paella is pretty good, but it's kind of like paella is
yeah,
also like different depending on what country you
yeah.
go to. But I think that's more Spanish technically.
There's not
So
like
yeah, I don't know.
since
There's
you've been
nothing
living in
that like
Miami, there isn't
really
like a spot you're
sticks
like,
out to
bro, I've
me.
been here like 45 times. It's the best fucking Cuban food I've ever had in my life. I go all the time. There's nothing really that's jumping out at you like that down there so far.
No, if anything, the place
I would say,
that's like that for me
Is there
is
any
like
like
the little
Italian places
Italian
down there?
bakery
They got
downstairs.
Italian places down there?
Yeah, there's a lot of Italian places down here too. Yeah, actually, there's a really good one across the street. The guys, I only go there because, well, not the only reason I go there, but
Okay.
they
Yeah.
kind of like import their
Yeah.
Italians. Like they
Yeah.
literally everybody there is like off the boat.
Mhm.
Like I said, there's a lot of
Yeah.
Europeans here. Like really, like a lot of Russians, a lot of Italians. There's just a huge mix.
Yeah.
It's a very like international city, which I didn't realize before coming down here.
Yeah.
But the ingredients that they use are really good. I actually like a lot of
Yeah.
their food because I get down
Yeah.
like a whole bowl of pasta there and like I feel like nothing. So yeah, I'll go there a lot. It's a good little Italian spot. Um, but yeah, no,
That's pretty good.
there's a lot of Italian
What's
places
the
down
what's the 'cause I didn't even notice. What's it like the Italian? It's like green, yellow, and red. That's like a cake or something like that. I didn't even know that was like an Italian dish. I just it's like
Oh,
cookies or something like that. I
I
never
know
even
which
seen
one
it.
you're
I
talking
just
about. Yeah,
yeah. I
you
was
know
like
what's
yeah, because it doesn't
funny?
look
I
that
like never
appetizing.
eat that,
Like
but
people
I
like the
know
Italian people
exactly
like
what we're
claim it
talking
as like
about.
their dessert. I'm like, what even is it? It's just like a cookie or like a little cake. Like I didn't know what it was.
Yeah, dude, a
Like
lot
you would
of
assume
Italian
like
desserts are
cannolis,
kind of
like,
weird, but some
their
of them are
claim to
pretty
fame is like
banging.
cannoli.
I mean, it'll cannolis. I used to down cannolis like it was my job. You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah,
like Sviadels. I don't know
yeah,
if you ever had like a Sviadel. I don't even know how to explain it. It's like, yeah, they're
mhm,
banging. I love those, but they're super light
yeah,
and like crispy, so I don't mind them. I
yeah.
mean, gelato, obviously. It's like a whole mix of stuff. But what was I gonna say? Oh yeah, the one thing that they don't really have down here that kind of annoys me is there's a kind of a
Really?
lack on the Asian cuisine, to be honest.
Wow.
Yeah, yeah. There's not a lot of Asians down here, man. I
They're
found
not
the
down
one
there.
spot where they don't exist. I,
We're not big in the restaurants in there.
dude, I actually really have.
That's crazy.
I
That's
haven't
crazy that
seen
it's
any
like so
Asians down here. It's kind of
diverse
weird.
culturally, but they
Yeah,
don't
it's
have
really
that.
weird.
Like, no, not a lot of Asian people down there. They're like, they don't like the heat. I guess they're
It's
like,
like the
fuck
one
that.
ethnicity. It's not
They don't
here. It's
like the
kind of
heat.
strange.
They don't
Yeah,
like the heat. Like it
they
ain't
don't
for
like the
them.
sun.
Maybe
Or
it's too
I don't
expensive. They're like, fuck that. We're
know.
not no
It's kind of
suckers for us.
funny.
We're not paying all that.
Yeah,
They're too financially
yeah.
fucking
That's
frugal. They're
that's
like,
probably
nah,
part
we're
of it
not with
too.
that shit. I'll live down there. I'll live somewhere else.
Yeah,
That's what
yeah,
they're like. Fuck that.
yeah. That's 100% part of what it is.
They're
Also,
like, that's
they're like,
crazy.
we're not paying these
That's
rents
a
over
good one.
here. This is ridiculous. Yeah, but yeah, there's like, I mean, obviously you
Yeah.
have like the high end
Mhm.
restaurants here that a lot of them are like sushi
Yeah.
restaurants and
Yeah.
stuff.
Yeah.
They're obviously those are really
Yeah.
good, but those are very
You,
like
yeah.
fancy, nice places. I'm talking just regular places, dude. You got like maybe a
Yeah.
couple sushi spots that are like pretty average, but other than that, there's like nothing
Yeah.
else. Like I feel like up
Oh
in
my god.
the
Yeah.
Northeast, at least,
Oh
I
yeah.
could find a pretty
Yeah.
good sushi place in like
That's
any
like a staple
town
every
pretty
town has when
easily.
you
You know
step
what I
in. It's
mean?
right there. Yeah.
Yeah, because that was like my go-to cheat meal for the longest time. I
You
would
like
just sit down and
15
pound
rolls and
sushi,
then
dude.
bitches.
So I
Talk
love
about food.
sushi.
Who was like if you were
Yeah.
gonna have dinner with anyone, dead or
Oh
alive, who
man.
do you think it would be? Not a family member, because obviously that's sentimental.
Yeah. Damn, I used to have an answer to this question. I kind of forgot. Anyone dead or alive? Damn it.
It's a good one.
Shit. All right, I have no, I have an answer for that, but it's a
Okay.
little too
No,
politically
I don't know. I don't care.
stimulated. I can't say it. I can't say it. Let me think. Let me think. I gotta think of someone else.
We can go another one. We can do it while you're doing that. I was thinking about that one. It was like another one. Do you like what type of genre movie do you like the best? Like what type of like are you into like horror movies, stuff like that, or like action? You're not a big movie guy. What's that? Action?
Gangster
What's your
movies,
favorite
baby.
action? Oh,
Gangster movies,
gangster. Oh,
baby.
God, yeah.
Say
I love gangster movies. So, what's your favorite gangster movie?
gangster movies,
Or
baby.
just like
Yeah.
not? It doesn't have to be like we're not set in stone, but
Um. Yeah. Honestly,
Joe
I don't know
Pesci.
why I love anything with Joe Pesci. I think he's hilarious. But I'd have to
Yeah,
go with like just run of the mill, like The Godfather, obviously, which I didn't actually watch for the longest
really.
time until probably like
Yeah,
recently. Actually, like sat down and watched it all the way through.
yeah,
I think the storyline is obviously just like that one wins just because of the storyline. But like
yeah,
obviously like Casino,
yeah. I love
Bronx
Goodfellas. That's one of my
Tale,
favorite.
Goodfellas,
Yeah.
yeah, like there's like they're all like good movies. This isn't really like Italian gangster, but
Oh, so that's my
I
favorite.
like
That's my favorite
American
gangster movies. I
Gangster as
love
well with
Denzel Washington. That's my favorite actor. Any movie that I watch it. That's such a good movie.
yeah, yeah, that
Yeah.
dude for like I love the
Yeah.
opening scene in
Even
that movie
even
is
like
just
the
so
one with
sick.
Johnny Depp, Blow. That's a good ass
just
movie. Like that's
just
about like the drug cartels. That's super good.
oh yeah. Yeah, Johnny Depp had a couple
Yeah,
of good ones. Johnny Depp's actually
yeah.
had a lot of like of those type of genre of movies. Um, yeah, no, that's definitely.
Oh,
I
what was
can't
it?
think
I know
of
the one where
one of the
he
movies
was
off the
yeah.
top of my head, but
It was
like
like
anything of
it was
that,
like a movie like White Rick or something like that, or like fucking something like I forget what it's called, but it was like
Oh no, wait, there was the
yeah,
one where he was Black
yeah,
Mass,
yeah, yeah,
which is the one where he was like the Irish gangster in Boston. That was actually pretty sick. You did a great job in that movie. That was awesome. What was the other one? Uh, Even like some of just the older De Niro
Yeah.
and
Oh yeah, yeah,
Pacino
oh, yeah,
movies. Like what was the other one? Heat,
yeah,
right? Like
yeah.
it's not really gangster, but like like I like those two together. Yeah, yeah.
It's funny we're
Those are
talking about this.
probably
It's
I'd
funny
have
because
to
I
say like
never
some of
like
my top movies.
I didn't never watch The Sopranos. I literally just for the first time watched The Sopranos recently, and it's like I said
Oh,
so because I was like it's
I
like
was just about
Italian
to bring
gangster shit.
up The
I'd never seen
Sopranos,
it
man.
before, and my friend watched it for the first time. He's like, "Oh, you got to watch it." I was like, "Okay, I'll watch it." And it was so funny. Who do you watch it?
Oh, dude, I've watched
Who do
that
you think the
whole
person you
whole
hate the
thing
most
like
is?
5 times through.
Oh God, yeah. You don't really his
Carmella.
wife is the most hated. You hate him more than
Uh,
her sister than his sister.
I hate Carmella. I can't.
Oh my God.
I can't stand
Towards,
Carmella. She is just like
towards the end, like
she
his
just
son, I
rubs
literally
me the
hated
wrong
his
way,
son.
man.
I didn't like a lot of people because I didn't grow up watching it. So like I know a lot of people like have like sentimental value because they watched it season by season and like came out. Me, I watched it like literally 6 months ago
Yeah,
all at
yeah,
once. So it was like I knew the whole storyline very vividly because I remember what happened like yesterday. Like it was the past 5 hours.
yeah, yeah. I don't. Yeah, I don't think I
Yeah.
watched it. I don't think it was till like 2 or 3 years ago. I actually sat down and
No,
watched the
I
whole
finished
thing.
it. I watched it like
But wait, you're
a
still
week. I
getting
was
through
like
it? You
at
said?
home, just blew through it. But it's like, yeah, I started cranking through it, dude. I
Yeah,
love like
you
long
start
series. Like
cranking through
I'll
it.
just
Yeah.
sit there. It's like one long ass movie.
Yeah, I know. It's actually great.
Yeah,
Sometimes
me either.
it's
That's why
nice
I
to
was
do
like,
that. I haven't had a show like that in a long
since I
time,
watched
though.
that one, I was like trying to. It's funny because I was just trying to watch shows. It's like you watch the first
Yeah.
episode. It's like, fuck it, I'm gonna watch it. I don't feel like watching it. It's like, obviously
Who's your
not. I
favorite
mean,
character in Sopranos?
not
This is
Tony. I'm
good.
gonna
This is good.
say,
It's gonna tell me a lot about you, man. It's gonna tell me a lot
what's
about
the
you
guy?
right here.
Sal. His right hand man, the old who always wore the nice clothes. I think his name was Sal. Sil. Yeah, Sil was my favorite. Yeah.
Oh, Sil. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah, because I
Sil.
hated Paulie.
Okay,
Like I literally fucking
Sil's a
hated him.
good
He's
choice.
always
Sil's a good
bitching,
choice.
and he's like went behind his back a couple times. I didn't
Yeah,
like him. Like, but I'm
Paulie's
saying
funny.
I know a lot of people liked him. I was like, bro, like he like
Yeah.
fucking went and told Richie Aprile shit. I was like, nah, I'm not with that. Like he was like, you know what's funny? Who I liked a lot
Yeah.
was his uncle. When his uncle got old after he tried to kill him in the beginning, once he's junior, once he got older and like just senile,
Yeah.
I loved him.
Dude,
He was so fucking funny. Like at the crib with
yeah.
that big dude. I forget his
Yeah.
name. Yeah, Bobby Bacala. Yeah, them two together was so funny.
What is it?
I love that.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. Yeah, Bobby's kind of funny.
like
Yeah,
when he was in the
the
mental
old man,
asylum and
he was
shit, going
Junior was funny
crazy.
as hell though. Yeah,
So
in the
funny,
movie.
running cards.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
He just
literally.
had
Yeah,
like
yeah.
funny ass like side
I liked him a
remarks as
lot.
like an old man. He's just like
Yeah.
like different generation. Yeah, I was gonna say, dude, I
That
think
was him. I
Johnny
was gonna say Johnny
Stacks is
Six. I loved
probably
him
like
too.
my favorite character in
He
that
was
show.
real funny.
Yeah, Johnny
Yeah,
Sacks was the
always
man.
famous.
Yeah,
He was
he
always like
was a real
screaming
one
and
too.
shit. He was
No
funny.
rat. Yeah, nothing. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, yeah. He's like super
when he bought the
serious,
Maserati,
super by the
and then
book.
when his
Yeah, he's
wife was
just
real
funny.
big and
Had
shit,
to
they're
like
making fun
kind
of
of
his
his
wife, and
like
he like fucking got Richie
yeah he
Aprile, or who was that? I fucked with that dude. Was funny and shit too. Who was that dude that was dating?
oh I know that
He was dating
his
Tony's sister for a
his
little bit.
yeah I know who you're talking about.
Then she killed him. Ralphie. Yeah, he was funny and shit too. He was wild, like
Ralphie.
just like a loose
Yeah,
cannon,
yeah.
just doing dumbass shit. I was like, bro, are you trying to make Tony
He,
kill you, bro? It's like you're always doing dumb shit.
dude, it's funny. I feel like every
Literally, where
like
it's some
friend
dude you're
group of
just like, bro,
guys
you
has
know
like a
that's not gonna be
Ralphie
a
in
good
it.
outcome. Why are you doing that?
Like
It's like, but then you guys have to deal with it.
yeah, where you're like, dude, yeah, like
Yeah,
he's
literally,
funny,
yeah.
but you're
It's like
like,
it's
dude,
funny,
can you
and then
just
it's like
shut up
they don't know where to stop. It's like, bro, like
just
you're gonna
one
get us
day?
out. Like, no. It's like, nope, they have no stop. It's like, all right, now we're kicked out. Now we got fucked. Then we
Yeah,
have to leave because you couldn't.
hey,
Yeah,
gotta
literally,
respect the hustle though, man. Those guys
literally,
never stop, man.
little
They're
wild
just
ass
constantly
dudes.
going. They're like,
But okay, I just had one more question for you.
yeah,
Who do you think? Oh, this is, I feel like based off the conversation, we kind of got your answer. But who do you think like your biggest role model is, or someone like you looked up to or aspired to be like, or like someone you wanted to make proud and notice, like they just like a role model in your life? Doesn't even have to be. It doesn't have to be anyone you want to impress. It could just be like somebody like it could be
I
like
have to
somebody
say,
you don't even know really that person, or you just like how the way they hold themselves. You're like, all right, that's a good. Yeah,
like,
yeah,
who's
yeah.
my biggest influence or role model? You're saying? Yeah, I'd have to say my grandfather
Mm,
probably, man. My mom's dad was, super. So I think a lot of like my conviction and who I
mm,
am as a person comes from him. He was kind of the same way. He was like very old school Italian. Grew up in Newark. Was like, kind of a
mm,
little, short
mm.
tempered, trigger happy
Yeah.
sometimes. Like, I've heard some stories about him. He's done some crazy stuff. But I mean, I spent,
Mm,
my mom used to work when I was a kid, so I kind of grew up a lot with my grandparents. And I mean, I was with him every second. And I mean, every night before bed, I sat in bed with
mm.
him for an hour. We would read the Bible, like just like he was very, very, very like, just, I guess what I'm trying to say is how I look at things now. It's, I know that it's like he's
Yeah.
probably the only other one that sees things the same things as I do. And I think a lot of the reason, obviously, I see things
Yeah.
the way I do is because I was with him for so long. So, he kind of instilled a lot of that stuff very early on in my mind,
Yeah.
subconsciously somewhere. And it just kind of
That's a good
came
ass
through
answer.
as an
Is he still
adult.
alive?
So, yeah, yeah. No, he died when I was like, you know,
Mm.
what was I, 14 maybe or something.
Yeah.
So it was weird because I was still
Oh yeah.
young. But like I said, I had spent so much time with him
A lot
growing
of
up that I just
yeah. Oh yeah.
a lot of the lessons
Yeah.
were just imprinted in my mind. But he was like,
Yeah.
he was kind of like the head of the family per se. So when he
Yeah.
died, it kind of created like this like vacuum almost. It was like a void in the family where that's what I mean.
Yeah.
Like after that, I feel like a lot of the tradition kind of started to fall off and everything just kind of fell apart a little bit. But yeah, it would be nice. Like,
Yeah.
now it's like as a man,
Exactly.
obviously now the times where I wish he was here because it's like, going through these last couple of years, kind of becoming the man that I am now. It's like,
Yeah.
and no, nothing against my
Mhm.
dad. I
Yeah.
love my dad, but my dad's just a different guy. He's just a different type of person.
Yeah.
And, it would have been nice to like have him to
Yeah.
like, relate on these things with, or at least man to man kind of talk about that stuff. But either way, I think kind of,
Yeah.
he did that through me at a young
Yeah.
age,
Exactly.
which,
Yeah. All that impact by
carried
14.
carried
That's what
through
I
for
think.
me. So
It's definitely like, since even just these 4 episodes I've done. It's such a trend where like your mom's dad. It's such like a staple in that like your whole family. It's so funny because that's how my mom's dad, my grandpa, was like not saying the
mm,
most memorable. Like he had the biggest impact out of all my grandparents. Like still, like I remember like having conversations with him when I was young because I think he passed
yeah,
around when I was around the same age as you. Maybe I was a little bit older, but it was like I still remember stories about him and like the way he conducted himself and stuff like that. It's so funny thing like maybe because like your mom like they say like girls idolize their dad, so maybe that's why like the girls' kids idolize their dad
yeah,
because like
yeah,
my mom idolized her dad, so obviously her kids are gonna idolize it because she looked up to we do. But my dad, he was the same
yeah,
way, and it was like it's so funny thing, like,
yeah,
such a thing where, and it's the same thing. Like he taught me so much, and it's like damn, like it would be nice to have him around because it's like to see like who the man I've become because it's like obviously I was a punk ass 14-year-old kid when he knew me, like he
yeah,
instilled these things like right, when you get older, I like make sure
yeah,
do this and
yeah,
this, or taught me lessons. Than to think like how far I've came since then. I've been so sick to like see him, like just like as an adult, have them conversations where like get to like have conversations
yeah,
with him as an adult, like not just like him teaching anymore.
yeah. Yeah, and it's kind of weird because it's
Yeah,
like
no,
it's
yeah,
not even like he taught me lessons
yeah,
directly, but I sort of like emulated
yeah.
him, right? Like I just
The
like
way
as
he
a
conducts
kid, you
himself.
copy somebody, you see how they are, how they act in certain situations. Yeah, the way he
Yeah,
holds himself, conducts himself.
yeah,
That's really the thing, right? Is like how they hold
mhm,
themselves, right? Like as a person, who he is as a man. And
exactly.
it's funny because you don't even realize that you're like them until you get to a certain age, and then like I start to realize I'm like, damn,
Yeah,
like I kind of think like he does. I'm sure, like I'm sure I realize it based on certain
mhm,
ways. I know that he reacted to certain things or the way I've reacted to certain things. I realized through
yeah,
that I was like wow, like he actually I only reacted the same
yeah. A
way
little
because he probably thought of
so
it the
crazy.
same way I did. I was like, oh wow, that's kind of it's also it's
Mhm,
funny too. Actually, me and my mom don't really get along,
yeah,
to be honest. But like I love my mom as
yeah,
well. But Me and her just really butt heads like that. But it's funny. It slipped out of her like a couple years ago. One time we were arguing. She's like, "It's like I can't stand it." It's like you're just like your grandfather.
Yeah.
I was like,
Literally,
I
yeah.
told
So
my
she
mom
sees
hates
every
me. I'm
new.
like,
She's
I'm
like,
like her dad. Like,
yeah.
I'm like,
She sees that. She
yeah,
sees
I'm
that
literally
connection.
like her dad. Yeah,
Brings up all the
like carving
memories of
down
when
her
she was a
neck.
kid. It's like, nah, bro.
Yeah, she can't handle
It's like
it.
too close to the
Yeah,
line there. She's like,
yeah,
no,
it's
that's
exactly what
not
it
it.
is.
It's like she's blaming you from shit. That's hilarious. Taking out her anger on you.
Yeah,
It's like,
yeah, I
no,
know.
bro, I wasn't even there.
I'm like, all right, all right.
So I'll
Yeah.
be the punching
Yeah,
bag
I'm
if
like,
I
all
have to
right,
be. No
fine,
problem.
whatever. I'll take it.
I'll take the.
Yeah. Oh, dude, that's kind of
Yeah,
what.
you say, fuck
Yeah.
it. I'll take
At
it for
some
the
point,
team.
I accepted that years ago. I'm like, go ahead. I'm like,
Yeah,
whatever. I'm like,
yeah.
nothing bothers me at this point. My skin's so thick, man. Like, I don't even think if somebody
Bet
tries
the
to
knife in the
stab me,
skin.
it'll
Fuck
go
it.
through. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah,
It is
it's like
hilarious.
nothing at this
But
point.
it's crazy. I love that about that. It's like such a not like a gift and a curse, but it's so funny thing like that. It's like we say like how everyone says like live no regrets because it's like yeah, like your past obviously it sucked going through that, but then it's like damn when you look forward to it, it's like it might have helped you in the long run so much. It's like having such thicker skin now. It's like damn now you can handle so much more. It did suck that you had to go through them situations, and in the moment it was
Oh
probably
yeah.
felt like your life was ending in some of these horrible situations you had to go through to get the thick skin. But now that you have it, it's like you said, it's like it felt like when you were going through it, like building the thick skin felt like it was your whole life. But then it's like you said, you're 29. It's like, bro, you got thick skin, and now you got thick skin for the next fucking 50 years, and all you got to do is put 10 hard years in. It's like now you're set.
Oh, dude.
That's a pretty
Dude,
good
I'm,
trade
I'm
off.
I'm ready to run through a brick wall, man. Like I'm ready to take over.
Yeah,
Like you know what I mean? Yeah. Like I feel
yeah,
great, dude. I can't question anything about
yeah. Literally,
how I grew up because at the same time
literally,
I'm here
exactly,
and it's like
exactly,
let's go, baby. Like nothing to lose, man. Like
exactly.
make it or break
Yeah,
it at this point. So I feel great. I mean I'm ready to take over the
you're in the
world
right.
at this point. So
Yeah,
on my
exactly.
on my on my
You're in the
Donald
best
Trump
spot for it
form.
now, Florida. With him as the president, you got 4 good years. We're gonna be living life now. But all right, brother. Well, it was good talking to you, and I'm just gonna wrap it up. So, all right, brother. I'm gonna pause it.